Hi survivors, welcome to the Free Fire Pro Series for North America. Participants will get the chance to showcase their skills and compete for their share of the $50,000 prize pool. This inaugural season will take place across 3 months in 4 unique phases: the Open Qualifier, the Group Stage, the Last Chance Qualifier, and the Finals. Teams will accumulate points throughout each of these stages, resetting for everyone at the start of each new phase. We will kick things off in the Open Qualifier. Teams from across the entire North American region will be split into lobbies of 12 teams, where survivors will battle it out for 6 games to earn their place in the next round. Teams will be awarded points for their in-game performance, including points for their final placement in the lobby, as well as their kills throughout the games. At the end of these games, the top teams from each lobby will move on to the round of 96. This round will feature new lobbies and 6 more games for each team. The teams that finish in the top 6 for their lobby will move on to a final qualifier round of 48, after which only 24 teams will be left standing to move on to the group stage. The group stage will be comprised of a 3-week season, with 2 game days each weekend. The teams promoted from the Open Qualifier will be placed into 4 groups of 6 teams each. Throughout the season, these groups will be paired on game days in a round-robin format, so that each group will face off against every other group in a 12-team lobby at least once. At the conclusion of the group stage, the top 8 teams from this stage will qualify directly to the finals. The bottom 4 teams in the overall standings will be dropped from the tournament, and the remaining teams will move on to the Last Chance Qualifier. The Last Chance Qualifier will see the teams placed 9th through 20th from the group stage compete in their final opportunity to qualify for the finals. Their bouts will take place over the course of 2 game days, with 6 games per day, all in a final bid to earn their shot at the championship. After this intense LCQ stage, only the teams in the top 4 will be able to move on to the finals. To cap things off, our grand finals will take place over the span of 3 days, with the top 12 teams from the tournament playing 6 games every day for a grand total of 18. Here, teams must go all out to earn points and stake their claim as the inaugural Free Fire Pro Series champions. At the end of the 3 game days, the 12th finalist will receive their share of the $50,000 prize pool, and a North American champion will be crowned. All right, Survivor, the battlefield awaits for those who think they have what it takes to bring home the championship. Looking to prove your skills and be the best in North America? Whether you'll be participating or merely spectating the show for fun, we'll see you there. Good luck and have fun. We'll be there with plenty of booyahs.
Hello, Free Fire family. I'm Dad Venture, and I'm excited to welcome you to the first ever Free Fire Pro Series North America. This is something I have been waiting for over a year since I started playing Free Fire. Esports has come to North America, and we are excited to be broadcasting 196 teams, almost 500 players from all across the territories and countries of North America are here right now. Some of the best players to play along with us. I'm here with my fellow caster, Mellowcrit. He's going to introduce himself and break down the tournament we're going to be watching right now.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I am just as excited, Adventure. I cannot wait to get into these games. This has been a long time coming. It was finally time for North America to get their big break in Free Fire, and here we are. And honestly, there's been so much work going into this. So many players that are so passionate and so excited to really show what they got on the battlefield. So yeah, I think we can just get right into talking about the tournament format. This is, of course, the first Free Fire Pro Series for North America, and it will be a round of 192 teams to kick it off. Over the course of this first weekend, we will be going through 16 lobbies of 12 teams each. After these first round of 192, we will move on to the round of 96 and then a round of 48, after which we will get 4 groups of 6 teams. 24 teams in 3 weeks of a group stage to try and earn their spot in the grand final. The top 8 teams will move straight to the grand final, and the 9th through 20th place teams will have to earn their spot in the grand final through a last chance qualifier. And at the very, very end, of course, we will get to crown the first Free Fire North American champion. Dad Venture, what do you think of this? What do you think of this first break for the scene for these players in the North American series?
I think there have been friends and players that I know that have been waiting for this since the day Free Fire came out. They've been watching the big international competitions, the ones with millions of people tuning in live, waiting for their day for North America to shine. And that day is here. It's now. And I am so excited to be here on this inaugural night to celebrate this championship series. And Melocrit, there's $50,000 on the line. Like, that is not chump change. That's an amazing opportunity that Garena Free Fire is offering to some of the best players, which are pros and pro level. And hopefully some of these players that I've known, that I've played with, that I've played against, who I would say are up there with some of the other great players in the world, this is their time to shine and maybe advance their career into the broader pro series of Free Fire. And I can't wait to see who that's going to be, and I can't wait to see who those top teams are going to be in that finals. But we got a lot of great competition and combat across all these different Battle Royale maps. My favorite, Kalahari's in here. We got Purgatory, and again, the fan favorites, Bermuda. It's going to be a wild ride these next couple hours. What are you most looking forward to?
Honestly, as you said it just right, I think it's so great to see that these teams and these players finally get a chance at some real cash, not just a real cash, but a real competition, a real tournament. A lot of the other regions have gotten their break, have gotten their opportunity to be broadcast, to be organized into this really awesome competition. And now that North American players get that privilege, I just really can't wait. And honestly, it's going to be a bit of the Wild West, right? We've seen that a lot of the other scenes are a little bit more developed, a little bit more, I guess, established. So I'm just excited to see what players and which teams are going to float to the top, because again, this is the first of its kind, and there's a lot of lobbies, a lot of different players, and a lot of different dynamics. I honestly can't wait to see how every player reacts to each map with all of these players that they've gotten to play with a lot. And they're finally here. They're finally on the big stage to really show what they got and to show the rest of the world what they got. Hopefully, eventually leading up to getting to compete in some of those bigger tournaments with some of the other regions.
Right. And so this is not the first tournament that players from Free Fire North America have been able to play in, but this is the biggest prize on the line that anyone in this tournament can win. We had an All-Stars event a couple months ago. There was $50,000 there. A Brazilian team took that. But now a North American squad is walking away with $12,500 in this championship. And then we're going to see $50,000 given out to some of these great teams that'll be playing in the finals. I'm excited. Listen, I got a pad of paper, Melocret, and a pen. I'm going to be writing names down. I'm going to be writing players down. There's going to be people that I've never heard of that play Free Fire here in North America that I'm going to know from today on. I'm going to be looking out for them in my lobbies. I'm going to be excited to get to know them and play with them, maybe become friends with them, maybe to team up with them for future events. Who knows? But I'm excited to see what's going to happen, as I love this game. I stream it almost every day, and it's just going to be an awesome night. And if you're new to the game and you're watching this right now, tonight's a night to learn. Go download Free Fire. Join us in this community. There's more events coming. Esports is here, and you can be part of this awesome game, this awesome community. Melocrit, I know you're falling in love with this game like I am too. What do you think's going to happen in this battle royale?
Oh man, I think the really beautiful part about this game and about the North American region specifically is we have so many different people from so many different backgrounds. And like you said, you've been in the scene for a long time and you've gotten to play with some of these influencers and some of these members that are already kind of in the scene and are kind of well known. I'm really excited to see those smaller players, those players that we haven't heard of yet, that are just going to rise to the top and really pop off and show us that there's so much more talent in North America than what we've gotten to see before. And exactly right. This is the biggest of its kind for North America. So I think this is when we're going to get to see a lot of those teams. This game is fantastic. It gives people a really great platform to show that there is a lot of different esports and a lot of different players in esports. So yeah, I really just want to see the pop-up performances from some of these smaller players, but also from some of the more established players that you've already gotten to know and love from your streams and from your participation in the community.
Yeah, and for me, I'm looking to see the countries that are represented. I mean, I know that we're going to have players from the U.S. I know we're going to have players from Dominican Republic. I know we got a lot of players represented from both of those countries. But also, you can't have a pro series without the Jamaicans and the Trinidad players and the Tobago players and the Belize players and every other territory and country that play this game, from Canada to the Caribbean and beyond. And I'm excited. Like, some of these players, we may have teams from multiple different countries and territories taking the opportunity to show themselves not only just regionally, but internationally and moving forward. And I'd love to see in that finals, I'd love to see lots of different countries represented, as some of these teams are an amalgamation of players at some of the top levels across the entire region. And so that's what excites me. This isn't a one country game. This is a territory. And I know that North American territory is big, and the players are across the board amazing in all that territory. Do you have any feeling, Mellicott? What do you think? Where do you think some of the best players are coming from out of tonight's competition?
I had the privilege of actually casting for a couple of people previously, not for a BR. So that's actually something that I'm super excited about, is to finally see the players in BR. But I'm excited to see these Jamaican teams. I think that was something that was on my radar really early. I love the passion. I love the way that these players play. A lot of, measured aggression. And honestly, I like to see the different styles that maybe a lot of these countries have sort of molded themselves into. If there's, little varieties here and there, the stylistic gameplay that we're going to see from different regions of North America. The diversity here is fantastic. But yeah, Jamaica's definitely on my radar, and Belize too. During the setup of this tournament, there was a lot of work in the back end, and the passion from the Belize players was super exciting. But without further ado, Dad Adventure, we are about to get into it with game 1 of the Free Fire Pro Series for North America.
Well, Mellicott, we're loading in here, and this is the map of Bermuda. We see the blue zone over here. I call that the hot zone. We're going to see some teams go for that. The blue zone has the best loot. So if you're new to this game, you can land in the blue zone. And we got some great players in this game. As I look, it looks like we've got Shamsum in the game here. And so Shamsum is a well-known streamer out of the island of Jamaica. So Wapri to Shamsum, good luck in this match. And so I would keep an eye on Mellicott on Team 2 in this matchup. And so as we can see where they're heading to, but what we'll normally see is that not many teams will land center of the map. Team 6 has landed center map right here. And you can see that everybody else will tend to land on the edge of map and then work the circle. I know as a Battle Royale player, you're familiar with that. What do you think about that method there of landing in the center of the circle for Team 6?
I think it's super interesting. The abilities that a lot of these characters are going to be utilizing, it really depends, right, on your play style. It depends on how you like to play. And right off the bat, I love that you mentioned it, because Shamsum already with first blood. Kill leader now popping off already is B2W, the very first fight of the North American Free Fire Pro Series. The blue wall going down here, a bit of a fight, a bit of a scuffle going here their way. I love to see it. Already tons of action, already a down as well, and that's going to be the finish. B2W with a crazy strong start here.
Yeah, and I think there are North America officials where a lot of those, you see Zadie and Kyle are from there, and so that's a well-known organization, kind of a clan in the region. So this team is here to play a team that I might say could be a favorite one for me in this, because I know those players and I've seen some of these other players in the game before. But as you can see right now, they've already got some kills already on the board, already pushing the competition. And we over in the blue zone, we have Team 1, which is Soy Jazzy over there, obviously looking to get some loot. That high-level loot's going to bring snipers, which are very potent, especially in that mid to late game, as they do high-level damage. It can be fired very quickly. And you see Aguilar here pushing forward here in this zone. So I would say right now we're gonna see some teams. What I'd say is kitting up. And Mellicott, and you're familiar with them kitting up. They're getting the best gear they can get. They're getting kitted, and they're getting ready to engage in engagements here soon.
Yeah, they're racking up that loot, getting ready. Here we see OP King actually looking down on one of the other squads. I don't know if they're completely by themselves. It looks like their teammates are still up, so maybe getting a bit of intel here, or maybe got a little bit too greedy, trying to go to that blue zone for that high-level loot that you were just talking about. And yeah, right now we're a little bit slower, slowing it down for the loot up phase. We got a little bit of action, but now we should expect teams to sort of get their weapons ready, get their entire kit ready to go, and start making these rotations. And I want to ask you, Dad Adventure, what is kind of what we should be looking for in terms of rotations here, in terms of whether teams are going to be moving early? You already mentioned that it's pretty uncommon in this game to be dropping super center zone. We did see one team drop there early, but do you expect to see teams going really, really early, or do you expect to see people hunting for kills a little bit more in this game 1?
Because of the point system in Free Fire, this tournament's you get 9 points for first place, or 12 points for first place, and then for second place you get 9, and then it goes 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 until it's 0. And so if you rank low, you don't get a lot of points. So the way to guarantee that you leave each and every one of the 6 lobbies that you're going to play in over the course of this competition, the only way to get points really is to push hard, to be super aggressive, and to get those eliminations, because with every elimination you're getting a point. So I think you're going to see teams like the team Shamson's on. I think this team right here, team 7 and team 1, they're pushing to get that elite gear, so they're going to go for kills, and if they walk out of this, they can walk out of here with 3 or 4 kills, which is going to make them an early points leader in this game. And when you need to get points to move forward, I think you're going to see a lot of aggression in this first few days of qualifiers until we get we get down to some of the more elite teams in the later rounds of this tournament.
And here we see that early fighting that you were talking about. The defensive from X4 is doing pretty good, and it looks like overpriced, maybe a little bit too aggressive without a proper game plan. They are retreating. X4 does have a member down and fully killed off 3 members now. I believe this is a 3 versus 3. Overpriced completely surrounded the building, but wasn't able to capitalize completely. So now X4 is going to start moving away from this area. Ace X4 not quite out yet. They did lose a member, and I mean, it's pretty common to see in a lot of battle royales that you're going to have to play with a member or 2 down, and it's no different here. But honestly, Ace X4 might just look to fight back. These kill points are so important early. Here we see OP King that's going to peek down, and OP King goes down. Overpriced now, a member down the blue wall here to defend. Not quite the full kill here, and this is falling apart for Overpriced.
Yeah, that was a nice move by FG's Chapo to turn around and get some quick headshots to get that elimination. He was really caught out of position there. He was jumped, but he was able to pull out of it, and it looks like OP's on the chase here, and we'll see if he can squeeze out of this or not. But you don't want to go down too far early on in the match. You want to have at least 3 or 4 of your team left, or you're just playing for placing points. And unfortunately, some of these great teams, Melacret, they're gonna leave game 1 with 9, 10 kills, and some of them might end up with 13 or 14 kills. And so getting placing points is enough to allow you to build a small foundation of points, but you eventually these teams are going to have to get multiple eliminations in multiple games to really move forward on the night.
Absolutely. And we see them here, Overpriced actually moving out of that fight and manages to catch one out. Just a stray walking along, completely punished for that. We also saw a triple kill in the feed, so there's at least one squad that's doing pretty good for themselves. But here we see the zone start to move a little bit closer. We have two teams, at least one team and one member of Team 12 over here in Sentosa that's going to have to start moving along. It looks like Team 10 is going to rotate over towards Mars Electric before they make their way in. And here we see them now starting to make moves. I do want to ask you, Dadventure, how bad is the zone damage? Obviously, every BR is different, but for Free Fire, how scared are you of the first zone? Excuse me.
The
and
first
zone,
do
you get
it's
afterwards?
not bad. It's not bad. So what you're going to see here is that Team 12 player is going to just ride the zone. It's ticking for 1 point damage. It's not hitting hard. Once it closes, it goes to like 2 or 3 points. It's not a significant amount of damage until really after that 3rd, 4th zone. And then you don't want to get caught in the storm. And there are player abilities. Each of these players has character abilities. You can see that at the bottom of the screen, those little icons down there. There are some players who will take the character abilities, let them ride the zone. That is a strategy that some teams will do. We may see a couple teams try to ride those early zones, early games in the zone, wait for it to close, and then you'll see 12 is moving all the way around. And right now in Sentosa, probably going to take that zip line across, reposition in a place where there is no competition. And ultimately, I know a lot of people be worried about, well, is there going to be stream sniping? Somebody can find it? No, we've got a significant delay on this stream. So 12 is going to be largely left alone. And if that player from 12 plays it right, can go into the later rounds and pick up some placing points. And that's probably the best thing you could hope for at Team 12 right now, is just picking up some of those placing points by getting in that top 5 and hoping that in the next game, you'll be positioned better with an early drop.
And that's going to be the lone member of Team Scars. That's actually Team 12 over there. And like you said, you got to do your best, right? It is not uncommon to see teams that are not necessarily in shambles, but just lost a couple members on some of those early engagements. And they have to make do. They have to try and scrape together those points from the placement. They might not find that many kill points, but at the end of the day, you have to try and make your way up on the leaderboard any way you can. Here we see, I believe that's going to be Warriors Esports that's going to be moving along with all 4 members still left up and ready to fight, and they're about to roll up on Team 9. Weak Akagura is there in the building, and it might be the only member, so it looks like they're not going to have a fun time as Warriors rolls in.
Yeah, you can see Weak sees them. The best thing for Weak to do is not make any noise, let them pass. Looks like Aguilar is moving on right here. If Weak just stays still and lets these 4 guys pass, he may be able to ride the storm into some late placing points. But if he makes any real noise, this team will be in position to just get a quick elimination here. And it's just not something you want to do in round 1 of a tournament, is to just go out without points. And so I think he's gonna play this slow. But that last guy was so far behind. We could have thought he was safe, and that could have turned out into a bad scenario. And if he doesn't wait much longer, it could be interesting what happens to him here.
It looks like they haven't quite caught him, but it is so close that I would be so nervous. The lone member of Rated to Shine left. Here we see Ace X4, who we saw fighting earlier, starting to make their way in, and again, just taking that zone damage, making sure that they have a good rotation, that they don't get caught out by any other teams. And actually, there's 2 members. It looks like they've been split up, but PBX1 is somewhere on the map. I don't know where along the way they got split, but looks like both members still alive. So honestly, 2 members is better than 1, and they probably aren't feeling too bad. Overpriced here did have to leave that early engagement, and only 1 member down. It looks like a lot of teams here with 1 or 2 members down. Warrior Esports might be one of the only ones that we've gotten to see. So as these zone close, we're going to see a lot of these teams get closer together. Here we see an airship approaching, which is going to be really, really interesting as Overpriced here makes their way into ring. Now in ring, what do you think these teams need to think about that adventure now that they've made it through, the early engagements and the early fights? We still have 8 squads up.
We still have 8 squads left in the game, and it looks like we've got now Team 7 has moved into the center, and we've got that Team 4 is moving in. So what we're going to see is Team 9 playing it slow, Team 1 playing it slow. They did not come out of that last competition with a full squad. They got a half level squad here. So you're going to see the teams who are like this team here, the ZRJ team, you're going to see them be aggressive. They got 4 guys left in the game. They can see there's only 24 players left on 8 teams. And so that means that there are teams who are at 2, 3 players right now in the game. And so the teams with 4 players are going to tend to be a little more aggressive if they don't see a lot of enemy pop up when they get into those engagements.
And here we see ZRJ Esports, actually the ones that might be running into Overpriced. Meanwhile, over here, Team NB, I think that might be Northblood, if I remember correctly. They're getting set up here in the Bismasakti airstrip. Excuse me, that's a bit of a tough one. Gotta get used to that one. Known actually taking a lot of damage, not sure from where exactly. But here they are, about as center map as any other team. Is actually the most center map. And now we actually see the 2 members of Team 9 here, PBX1 from Rated to Shine, making their way in, kind of creating a sandwich with B2W. OP here are the ones that are finding shots. Overpriced, looking onto the squad number 6. And I think that was the one that was dealing damage. And it looks like they actually get the knock onto the Naya of Northblood. The blue wall goes up, though. I don't think they're going to be able to make a lot out of this, but that's still very, very dangerous. And Overpriced making a big presence up on that hill.
Now, Melkert, you'll see that sniper that was being used there was the M82B, which is, we call it the glue wall sniper. It can penetrate glue wall, and so you're not safe behind a glue wall with that sniper. A proper sniper, someone who is a sniper player, can utilize that sniper through glue walls with deadly precision. And so I think that's why you saw that player kept pushing the snipes into that glue wall, looking for to get that person knocked down again for a second time when they got up behind that wall.
Yeah, fortunately, they were able to pick them up, though, and the sniper did not claim a victim all the way. They are able to pick them up, and we see Rated to Shine here, that one of those members of the duo just walking really precariously behind Warriors Esports. They're making it happen. I mean, it's still top 8. We haven't seen a whole lot of action here as teams are starting to get set up, but with about 15 seconds left before this night stream starts closing, I anticipate we're going to start to see some fighting here. It actually looks like PBX1 did go down, so no longer a duo, but a solo. Rated to Shine now going to have to make their way in. They might opt for walking a little bit lengthwise towards peak and then walk in to that last zone, but here we go. Now that the zones are getting a little bit tight, we're going to see that the early rotations from some of these teams are going to be a big benefit. ZRJ being one of them. They're right on the edge here, and they're looking down at, I believe, over that trio that we saw fighting earlier.
Yeah, and you'll see there on the top of that board right now, I think in our points leader from eliminations is that team led by Shamson, that Jamaican squad. And so doing the work of the eliminations, I knew that team would be really aggressive. Some great players on that team, some who have represented our server in some big international competitions already. And so I think they're doing the work we expect them to do. And I believe they'll continue to do that through each and every lobby. And probably, I think half the teams move on. Here we can see this squad here. This is Zaddy, and we've got Kyle and Shamson and Demon Died already with 7 eliminations, with only half the competitors down. So they're doing really well on this. Probably going to end up with 10, 11 eliminations or more on the game. And they're already going to in the points. So they're going to have a great round this first round, as well as some of these other teams. That Warrior Esports we talked about, doing well enough to keep their full team in at this point, but still no eliminations. So they're going to walk away right now with a lot less points than a team like that Shamson squad.
Yeah, Aguilar punished a little bit there for trying to find that angle. They do get knocked down once again. Ace X4 down to 1 member as well. So, yeah, a lot of teams now falling apart. Minaya, it looks like, got a read down onto Aguilar. They just cannot get this member up. The glue walls go down, though. They're going to try and recover. Here come the medic kits, and they're going to have to walk away here. But I mean, they're right on the edge of zone, and the zone is about to start closing once again. This is getting really, really tight, and we know that Warriors was kind of on the edge. They're about to maybe run into another member, but it's so easy to get punished if you aren't positioned properly in this game.
Yeah, we've got Team 12 down there. One player just working his way, trying to get as many points as he can. Not probably going to walk away with much on the elimination front, but unfortunately, he's caught out of position in the rotation. He's just going too far down. If he comes out of this one, yeah, what a nice grenade. And so we got Shamson squad here with the Warrior Esports. And again, this could be a chance. We got somebody down on that squad 4, and this could be a chance for Warrior Esports to push and pick up 4 points.
Yep, here we see Warriors already fully recovered and ready to fight up on this edge against Team 4. They are putting a lot of damage down on a lot of teams, actually. Here we see ZRJ recovering from their last engagement, but they do have teams on both the right and the left, and it looks like they're going to get punished for being up on this hill without enough cover. CEGT going down, and the grenades are coming down as well. Inside goes down. Cappy, very low health, not much left to speak of. They're going to have to walk up here and try to make something of this. They are able to pick up CEGT, but Inside is still down, and this is a 3v2, 3v3 engagement, and Snap now going down as well. 2 members left. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull this out. There are so many glue walls up on this hill. CEGT getting pushed. CEGT trying to put down damage, but getting fire in return. Shamsam picking up a kill onto Warriors in the meantime. This is an absolute bloodbath here on zone number 5.
We've got Inside walked out of there with 4 kills. Went down, but walked out of there with 4 kills. And so ultimately, we've got them picking up points there. ZRG. We've got NB now with 5 kills, moving in, and in that Shamson-led squad, moving up. Team 4 moving up and around. And so ultimately, we've got to see who's going to pull out of this one.
And this is actually the final fight. We were down from
with
7
men
squads
left,
down to 2, and the 1v1 is here. Northblood versus B2W.
We got
and it's going to be the booyah.
Let's go. Good job to that squad. That is the Demon Died, Zaddy, Kyle, and Shamson squad. I think Melacrit, I was right on that one. That is that Jamaican squad. I think they're all from Jamaica. So good job to my Jamaican friends from across the sea. Well done with that booyah. And as expected, we got a team that was going to push hard, get a lot of points. It'll be interesting to see the leader tables here, how they actually did on points. They had 7 points. They ended up getting a lot of eliminations at the end. I think they could end up with well over 20 points here in round 1 of these 6 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, what a performance. We saw them early making good decisions. We saw them early winning fights as well. And I'm so glad. I don't want to be the one to say I told you so, but the Jamaicans are on my radar, and I'm so glad to see them perform here in game number one. But yeah, that was great. That last zone was crazy deadly. We went from 6 teams down to 2 in what seemed like the blink of an eye, Dad Venture. And they pulled it out. They were able to make that fight work for them. And I think they're going to see a lot of points on this leaderboard. We'll have that updated in a second. But wow, Dead Adventure, what a game number one for the North American Free Fire Pro Series.
I think that was a great game. It went with some of the top players in our region standing on the leaderboard with that booyah. And when you get that booyah, it feels good. It starts you off well, but I've seen the teams that get that first round booyah not end up overall taking the championship over the 6 days. And for these teams, the nice thing is, Millicrit, you don't have to get the top spot to move forward. I think half the teams almost in every lobby are moving on to the next round of qualification. So it feels good if you're that team. You feel like you've got enough points to position yourself well. If you can have 5 more good rounds, you're probably moving on to week 2 and another chance to move towards that $50,000. I think we had some other great teams like ZRG team there. We had Warrior Esports. Who were some of the players you thought really stood out in that round?
I'm glad you mentioned it because, yeah, ZRJ was actually one of the people that was putting down early aggression. I was glad to see that they weren't being, being careful enough to get a good position in ring, but not afraid to fight one bit. And again, you nailed it again. Warrior Esports is one that I was kind of looking out for. So yeah, I can't wait to see how much these players did for that first game. We are going to cut to a quick break while we prep these leaderboards, but we will be right back so we can see who really popped off in game number one of the Free Fire Pro Series for North America.
All right, Free Fire, we are back. That was an amazing round one that we got to see. We were in one of the lobbies. We got to see Shamsim and Zaddy and their team take that top prize. It looked like they had it for 20 points. It's going to move them well into the next 5 games that they're going to play. But we're jumping up over to another lobby. We're going to check out some of these other 192 teams and the many great North American Free Fire players across the land. And so, Melocrit, this was a great first round. What are you excited about to see what we saw there, and moving forward into seeing another lobby? Do you expect some similar gameplay, or do you think we might see some different gameplay mechanics?
So I'm a bit of a sucker for positional play. I love to see when teams make smart rotations. Of course, that wasn't the fullest lobby, so it wasn't too tight until the later rings. But yeah, that is my preference. I like to see a bit of the positional play, though. I'll be honest, that's my usual preference. But I'd love to see some fighting here. We're going to be moving over to lobby number 3 for the next game that we'll get to cast and observe. So yeah, I want to see those early fights. I want to see a little bit more contesting. But at the end of the day, we do see a lot of action towards those later rings. I want to see some more teams survive. I want to see those crazy glue wall fights where we have 5 or 6 squads that are left right at the end, because honestly, we saw some of the squads that were performing early on. ZRJ, we saw Warriors, and of course we saw that final squad that was able to take the win, and they were making good decisions and kind of rotating late. But wow, did teams get wiped out towards the end of that ring. So yeah, I think for me, it's going to be seeing some good fighting, some good pushing, and maybe see if some of these teams can really pop off and rack up a lot of kill points.
Yeah, and listen, that to me was the great part about this is we got to see a Jamaican squad show, and you had talked about you expected to see some Jamaican players do well. Well, lobby 1, round 1 went to the Jamaican squad. Good job, Champs, and your squad, Zaddy. Great job, guys. It'll be interesting to see if we move to a different lobby. Are we going to see one of those teams from Belize, Dominican Republic, America, any of the other countries and territories? Are they going to rise to the top of the occasion? Because there are great players in every country and territory. I've played with many of them, and I'm excited to see who's going to stand out in this next lobby that we play. And we're gonna see, are we gonna see more sniper gameplay, which I was quite surprised, Melker. We only saw 1 or 2 snipers in that round, and there are some players that is their gameplay. They're going to go find 2 snipers. They're going to do double sniper gameplay. They're going to push hard. They're going to rotate. They're going to take advantage in and behind glue walls. And so I think we're going to see some more sniper gameplay moving forward. And what I haven't seen at all yet is what took the last big international competition we had here in North America versus Latin America and Brazil was a lot of grenade gameplay. And so I'm hoping to see some grenades. I don't know about you.
Yeah, we got to see a little bit of that, and honestly, it was kind of crazy because we know that these players are incredibly proficient with those grenade tosses. They're able to wait up on the throw and arc it just to get over a lot of those glue walls to do tons of damage to big groups of teams. So I'm excited for that grenade play. I'm excited for that sniper gameplay. But here we are rolling into game number 2. We get to watch lobby number 3. That adventure, I really wish we could watch every single lobby today, but we're gonna have to cut it down to just 6 for the 6 games of today. And here we see a bit of a spread that's a little different. The flight path was a little bit different. Doesn't look like we're going to see a lot of early fighting, though. Unfortunate. But again, we see Cape Town, Keraton. The whole eastern side of the map is completely empty for this game number 2.
You'll notice that no one landed in Cape Town or Keraton last map either. That's just not a popular location. One, because there's so many ways in Cape Town that you can get jumped by an ambush by the enemy. And so I don't ever see a lot of people choose Cape Town. Maybe something for people to learn in future games. Maybe go to Cape Town. Might turn out well for you. But I think we're going to see here, we had about 5 or 6 teams jump close to each other. Whoever walks out of that still with their team intact is probably going to end up with a lot of points in this round. There's 20 points on the board there in elimination kills. And so if you walk out of that with the majority of those, this is going to be hard to take that team as the top team in this round.
And it looks like TG might not have the best start that they might have hoped for. I believe that's going to be Tiguer. That squad already losing Pirata. That is not a great way to kick off the round. But again, you got to do what you can. 2 members left and a couple of early kills already going down. This time we've got 10 squads in the lobby. So 1 more than we got to see previously, which I think just makes the gameplay that much more exciting because teams are going to run into each other quicker. They're going to have to fight each other quicker. And those rotations are going to be a lot more difficult. Here we see another fight here. Z4N are the ones that are possibly getting engaged on here. Judah healing up, not quite a lot going down quite yet. It looks like someone fell to their death in the kill cam. Not the best way to go down, but a launch pad here from a lone member of team number 3. This is going to get really interesting, Dad Adventure. There are a lot of players here, and honestly, not a lot of room and cover to play around with.
Yeah, and right, and nice thing about Observatory, you do have that player launcher. So if it gets too tough, too quick, you could use the player launcher to get out of the action. The only issue is usually your enemies are right behind you, and so you got to get out and get away fast enough with some med kits. And it looks like Team 12 here, Z4N, is going to kind of gain position, kit up, and probably gonna. There's a lot of gear on the ground. You can see med kits here. You can see some helmets on the ground. They're gonna walk out of here with a really good opportunity to leave with some of the better weapons in the game, as well as on the opposite side of the board, Team 2, which is over on Sentosa Island, all alone right now in that blue zone, which is where you're gonna find the better gear. And so coming across, if they rotate quick enough that they don't have a lot of enemies sitting on the other side there, they can come across there with some great gear and position well behind Team 1.
Yeah, and Team 1, I believe, is going to be Chernobyl Esports. And yeah, those are the only real members of the rest of the map that they're going to have to worry about with this great loot. So they're going to get to walk in and probably start looking for some fights, because they're going to have great weapons. They're going to have great throwables, probably plenty of glue walls to work with. So yeah, they're going to be feeling pretty good. Here we see Team R15. R15 official, actually, kind of getting set up here. It looks like they might be taking some shots from a different squad here, squad number 6, and they already have a kill to their name, so it might have been an early pickup from a straggler that was, caught out rotating. R15 though actually going to pick up a kill, and here we see Adiel, Leo, Abreu, and Hack up on this hill, doing a little bit of damage here to Bestia, who was a bit stuck and separated from the rest of their team. That is not where we want to be.
Out of position there, and he's got to get back there with the rest of his team, but they got advanced to help him. You can see they're solidly behind glue walls, but Bestia is out on his own right now with not a lot of life. Looks like he's out of med kits, and so if I was Bestia, I would try to get my team to move up and help me advance, because right now you don't want to lose a player down with a full squad across water, an uphill. That's an advance you don't want to make when you're under pressure.
And here we see Joker and Judah that are actually also engaged in a fight. A lot of glue walls already had to go down to try and get out of this position. And wow, is it a sticky position? Real Frost here about to look down with this sniper. Judah completely caught out, and they're going to start trying to rotate out. They're going to take a lot of damage from that sniper. They almost go down, a sliver of health left, and the glue wall goes down once again. Team Eno now looking over the hill, but Zan is going to look on the cross, and Kevin's going to go down. They're going to have to try and retreat here. The glue wall goes down, but as you said, these assault rifles are deadly from this range. Fried Chicken also up on that wall. They're going to take down the glue wall. I don't know if they were going to able to finish that kill, excuse me. They do manage to retreat back in the building, and wow, Zan almost making a lot happen there while 2 members of their teams were caught out. They turned that situation from bad to great, and now they are on top with all members ready to shoot, and they continue to rain down damage on this team.
Now you can see how hard the snipers hit. That sniper will hit you for 155. It hits you in the head. It's going to be 196. It is a brutal weapon if you get caught with that sniper. And the worst part is, it may not take you down, but there's just not enough life left. And a stray shot from another teammate on the opposite team can take you out if you take a sniper round before you can med up. And so the snipers, if you have a great player on your team that's going to utilize sniper, or like Z4 here has, just coming around and sneaking in the back and getting a quick drop, doing a ton of damage. Now he needs his team to push, and unfortunately he's just getting waylaid as they were able to advance beyond his glue wall. But it was a smart maneuver to flank the other team.
And Real Frost here going down. This is actually a really close fight, even though it looked a little bit bad there at the start for Zan. They are able to trade out another kill, and now I believe it's a 2v2. Kev trying to make it happen, but Judah winning out on that one, and now they're going to walk out, with 2 members left. Fried Chick and Real Frost, the last members alive, actually scratch that because Judah wipes them out with a massive grenade and the shotgun. What a fight there for Z4N, and they're going to feel great about that. Tons of kill points there, an absolute wipe on that squad, and they're going to be feeling great as they move on to this next zone with a couple of KP under their belt.
And Melcra, that shows you the advantage of height advantage. That team 12, was up on the hill. They utilized that height advantage, the positional advantage they had there uphill, to get over those glue walls, to hit those sniper shots. They had that character with the flank, come around the outside, and pressed in enough that they were able to get 4 eliminations there. And I think that Judah got all 4 when push came to shove. So they're with what we like to call a quadra kill or an ace, and was able to get that quadra kill, take out the team. And four elimination points is great early on because there's still 33 enemies still in the match.
Yeah, Judah, they're making it look absolutely crazy and easy. Here we see R15, and just a second ago, we were watching La Bahia making their rotation on through the bridges. And again, we're back down to 9 squads, which is actually what we started with. So honestly, not as much fighting as I was expecting. You know, obviously having a little bit more squads might expect to see a little bit more, but La Bahia here walking in well ahead of the zone. I'm curious to know how these rotations sort of help with people's resource management, because that adventure, one thing I was going to mention before Z4N just completely clobbered that team was the fact that they managed to survive that early fighting, but they were so low on resources. They had to expend so many glue walls, so many healing kits, that they were honestly in shambles. So even though they had that building and were relatively safe, they weren't going to last very long, but because they didn't have a lot of resources to work with to be able to make these rotations later on.
Yeah, I mean, that's like you said, that's where circle rotation comes in, getting those resources, because if you're landing on the outside of the circle working in, other teams may have already been inside of on where your position, already taking the resources. And so being able to rotate right or left in the circle, being able to take out any enemy squads that have 2 or less people, get a quick couple kills, take their resources. At this point, we get third circle or beyond, you're really going to get a lot of your resources from your eliminated enemies. And if you're playing it slow and you're not playing it aggressive, the problem is if you get in those early engagements, you're just not going to have the glue walls that are necessary in the med kits to be able to stand up to that competition. Like we saw in that last lobby, we saw a lot of glue walls come out there as that Shamson team took that championship. And when it was 5 men left, I think we had about 10 glue walls pop up there all of a sudden. And what glue walls allow you to do is be able to get cover and get meted up and just be able to reload your weapon and then position yourself to either attack or defend attack. But if you don't have glue walls, you're just a sit and duck late game against a team that has taken the time to get resources. And so a lot of these teams, you'll see the better teams are going to make sure that they go out and search for glue walls before they go into those final rounds.
Yep, and it looks like La Bahia here, they're pretty looted up. I don't think they've been in too many engagements since we saw them a little bit earlier, but they are rotating right behind Z4N, which we know is on fire, so that could be a little dangerous for them. Meanwhile, R15 here with a couple of other teams actually in peak, and it's actually going to be Chernobyl Esports that found Z4N and did a ton of damage early on, and that's exactly what you want to see against the kill leader. They're able to defend a little bit, popping down a glue wall to try and reset themselves a bit, but they are raining down bullets.
And they're about to get third party, Millicrit. There's a third party coming. Team 6 is pushing Team 12 from behind. They're trapped between 1 and 6. If 6 gets up here, they can steal a couple of these eliminations from Team 1 and position themselves uphill from Team 1. But right now, it looks like the Team 6 is about to engage from behind, and so this does not look well. They may be on fire, but Team 12 seems to be at a significant disadvantage as they try to defend against 2 teams at once.
Chernobyl finding a knock onto Judah. Judah goes down, but they're going to push this building anyway because, as you said, Dadventure, they know that they have to push in here. They are trying to do their best to push in and find a spot that they can defend against La Bahia, who did walk right behind them. The battle continues, though. No one's been knocked down quite yet. It looks like Z4N got away with this rotation. They are just below this team, and they're going to start throwing grenades up there to try and find maybe a couple of kills, maybe some damage there to make sure they get a spot. But instead, they rotate out to a different building, and now they are in. Neither team is in zone, though, and La Bahia actually doesn't opt to look in here, and they're just going to hang out. They're going to try and assess the situation. They don't want to overcommit to anything. They know there's 2 teams with buildings, but, oh, that was so dangerous for Z4N, and what a way to get out of there. Judah goes down again, though, and a grenade goes into their building as well. Chernobyl not letting them breathe quite yet.
This right here, that Team 12 pulled off a masterstroke. They were caught in the open. They had a third party behind them, pushing them out in the open, but they were able to use the glue wall. They were able to use the chrono ball that we like to see, that blue shield. It was able to get into the bottom floor. Team 1, if they would have just been aggressive, they could have came downstairs and probably took out a very weakened Team 12. But unfortunately for Team 1, they allowed Team 12 to put Team 1 in the middle, which is not a place you want to be against two full squads. That's 8-on-4, and it's not going to work out for you in the long run.
And Chernobyl, as you said, they might be caking themselves because we know there are talented players that are probably looking at that kill feed. And if they saw that they knocked down the team that's been completely reigning terror on the game 2 on Bermuda, like you're feeling pretty bad if you almost took out that team that's been so dangerous and has been getting so many kill points early on. But I mean, you just got to move on. They are in zone and they do have a building, which they're feeling pretty good about. Here we see La Bahia rotating out, Hellfire looking down on them as well, or rather looking up on them near this danger zone, which is honestly an awful spot for some of these teams that need to make their rotation here soon. La Bahia looking down. They might find a way to engage on this Hellfire squad that is just down below them. They do have position, but they need to be careful because squad number 10 is actually just on the other side of them. They're actually sandwiched between two squads now. They're going to have to play this really carefully.
Looks like we're going to get a great flank here from Team 9 on Team 11. It's a 4-on-2. They get the quick. Bestia gets the quick down on Menior. And then we got a 1-on-4, which is not looking well for Enma. And Enma gets eliminated. Team 8 is out of the match. And that's a nice couple quick elimination points for that team. And they sit over there at Factory all alone. So now you talked about resource management. It's a great time to get those resources from those two downed enemies, to loot up anything remaining there in Factory, and then to head up to position at Peak, which crossing Peak and getting into the final, the next circle is going to be difficult for any teams like Team 10 that are caught behind, unless they can get out of the way of Team 6 here.
Team 10, the SG team trio, trying to make their way in. They were almost punished really heavily by La Bahia, who does have all 4 members up. And they might choose to get aggressive here, but it looks like they were able to just sneak into the zone SGT, which we did see in the kill feed a bit, and they did manage to wipe a squad, but now putting down the glue wall and still not quite in zone. They don't exactly know what to do here, and they might just run back uphill and find a La Bahia squad ready for them to pick up these kill points. They do commit the time turner, and they are going to survive a little bit longer, but here we see the grenades, that adventure, and Mige already going down. Decaro most likely going down after them. There's the grenade, the glue wall going down, 1 member left. They're not going to be able to get those pickups, and they're probably just going to find the full squad wipe here onto SG team, unless Team 12 decides to get involved.
Yeah,
and
Luis just doesn't have any.
To.
He doesn't have any glue walls. Unfortunately for SG, they were glue wall poor. They only had, I think, 1 or 2 glue walls for all 3 players, whereas you've got 1 guy on the other squad with 7. And so when it comes to resource management, SG, this guy had 16 med kits before that engagement. He comes out. They didn't know he was there. He gets the quick down. It's not going to be enough. He's just trying to get the finish to pick up a point. He doesn't get the finish, and Team 6 here are able to bring up their player here. But you can see Adiel's got 3 glue walls. That team is ready. And I think in a one-on-one situation, 4-on-4 versus Team 12, I don't know how many glue walls we got at Team 12, but I think you're going to see the team with the more glue walls here are going to walk out of this one with a better opportunity to get the points.
But it's looking real awful for them. Z4N actually getting punished for trying to walk up on La Bahia, and they actually full lose a member and have another one down behind a wall. It looks like there is a full kill. Abreu finding that for La Bahia. Now 5 kills and a bit of an easier rotation now that they dealt with that team. But there are so many squads down the hill that already found a spot. Abreu actually finished off completely. Now the trio of La Bahia has to make this rotation happen with 3 members, but they're honestly feeling pretty good after they found a couple of kills. Exploit the one on the kill feed, making an absolute mess of the final teams on Bermuda, and they're feeling pretty good. They are down the hill though, and a lot of squads already have buildings.
But you've got Team 12 over there with Joker. He's the last guy left. We're already now 4 squads left. Joker's in the points. This is position points. So do you try to get the position points? I think Joker's still on the board. Just outside of the map he was, unless the storm took him out and put him in 5th place. But you've got to try to pick up points here when you can. And now we got 3 full squads and a squad of 3 here. And going into this end round, this could be anybody can take this right now. We do have Chase Sal here using one of our more powerful weapons. It's a super inaccurate weapon. Some people will say that's the M79 is a tough weapon to use, but if you are accurate with it, it can take out 2 or 3 enemy at one time.
And here we see Club 9D that's actually walking up with one rock to play and some glue walls as cover, but they do manage to walk their way into this building, which is honestly huge. They are able to make it in while Chernobyl continues their absolute rampage, now punishing La Bahia. We can see there on the kill feed, and this is not looking great for La Bahia. They did pick up a couple of kills, but they might not be able to find their way in the zone, so they're going to pick up a couple more. Bestia going down there, and yeah, 90 has this building locked down. 2 members left of La Bahia and grenades going down. This is going to be tough for them to walk in as this zone closes, and we might actually make it to 7th zone. A new kill leader though, R15.
Now we're seeing those grenades I talked about, Mellowcrat. Those grenades here are, if you're trapped in a building and the zone is, the next circle is going to be outside the building, which it will be here. You don't want to be stuck with a team outside that's got a lot of grenades, because you've got to climb out those windows, and unfortunately, climbing out those windows leaves you at a disadvantage because you're not able to shoot. And someone who's positioned well outside, especially with the glue wall, can take you out quickly. And we see that now that we got 2 teams left, 5 players left, and now we've got a booyah! Let's go! We've got that booyah and an easy, quick finish for the Che team here.
Yeah, Chernobyl managed to pick it up. They pick up the booyah for game number 2, lobby number 3. They were doing great throughout the whole game. They managed to completely bully so many of the other squads late, and they pick up the booyah with tons of kill points to boot. That squad was really impressive, Dad Venture. There were a couple other squads like Z4N and like La Bahia that were doing really great, but at the end, it was Chernobyl who did so much damage, did so much work, picked up so many kills, and managed to pick up the win at the end. What a game for them in game number 2.
Yeah, I would say that we saw what I expected to be with when you have teams who are in it to win it, they're going to play slower. We had, I think, nine squads, 8 of them were full squads there with, I think, at the 4th circle. And when you're looking at that many players left on the field, it's going to finish quick. It's going to finish hard. And teams that come out on top are going to end up with a lot of elimination points. And we saw that there. Everybody played slow. They weren't super aggressive. And that's a conservative style gameplay, because you're trying to position yourself to get those late eliminations on teams that are already weakened. And we saw a lot of those teams go for that. And it's going to end up, for 3 or 4 of those teams, they're going to end up with decent points. So not a bad strategy in the second lobby of the day for this lobby.
Yeah, Chernobyl really did a lot there. There were a couple of teams that, again, they performed really well, but at the end of the day, and you said it at the beginning, I'm glad we got to see it. Those grenades were absolutely lethal at the end. Those squads that had a good setup in that final building and were able to have, just a lot of grenades at their disposal to throw at these teams. There is not enough glue walls in Bermuda to save you from that, and those explosions took out so many teams and probably granted Chernobyl so many points. I think we're going to get to see the actual standings here for lobby number 3 in a little bit. We didn't get to see game number 1, but we got to see a little taste of maybe what's been going on in that lobby, because Chernobyl, Z4N, La Bahia, a lot of those teams we're going to have to keep an eye out on. And this is what's great about the qualifier stage, right? We get to see which teams and which players are going to pop off early and show that they're the ones to watch as we get closer and closer to the group stage through these qualifying rounds.
Yeah, and you saw teams that just utilize the grenades with brutal precision there. They play position right. You've got to watch where that final circle is going. When you get caught in a building and it's not in the final circle, and generally speaking in Free Fire, you're not ever going to really have a final circle in a building in a Battle Royale match. I have played a lot of matches. There's just not a lot of times you're going to be able to hide in a building. You're going to have to come out. And so I've just learned sometimes it's better to not go in the building in that final circle, because coming out of the building can be so difficult because of grenades, because of glue walls, and you're just going to be at a disadvantage, especially if there's a relentless pursuit of damage coming through with M79s, with grenades, and you're going to come out in a weakened state already and probably down a player or 2 on your team. And so for those teams that stayed outside, I'd have to say that was a great job by Chernobyl, playing the advantage that glue walls, that the angles they could use coming around the corner of the building, but not going in the window and taking down weakened players.
And yeah, we'll get to watch those results now. I think we're going to roll into the match results for that game specifically. And there we see it. Chernobyl Esports with the booyah, with 7 kills. Actually, the top of the kill count, with the exception of La Bahia, who managed 3rd place. Club 9D, the menace that was down at the bottom of the hill that whole time. La Bahia, R15, Z4N, and Hellfire as your top 6 for that lobby. I'm surprised to see Z4N at that spot. But again, you have to have the kills and the positioning, and they just got a little bit too aggressive there at the end, not able to defend their spot and not able to find additional kills. So they end up in 5th place overall. But I mean, this is kind of the tail of the tape, so to speak. Like we're seeing that those squads that manage to get the kills and are able to use those kills to get good positions in the late game manage to get these huge performances. So what a game from Chernobyl Esports in game number 2.
And I think if you look at this, if you look at the points, those teams that played slow and stayed together and brought all 4 of their teammates to that last round, out of those 8 or 9 teams that were there, like 7 of them had 4 or more kills or 3 or more kills, which is get you those elimination points. And when you're trying to go from round after round in a qualifier and you want to walk away with points, those teams all coming out of this, for the most part, the majority of those teams position themselves in the top 5 in that round, which is going to help them as they try to advance to the next week of the qualifier. As we go from half the teams of this weekend, move on to the next. And so that's just the way it works. So well done by Chernobyl, Club 9D, La Bahia, R15 official, or official. And so way to go, those teams. And so I hope some of the people who are really looking to play Free Fire take some of these ideas and concepts and use them in their own gameplay, not only in this competition, but just in general, because there's some good strategies we can see here. And it looks like these teams that did well here did well in the first round as well. And so those top 6 teams, which are the teams that will move on if those teams stay there, are some of the teams that did very well in the first one, with the exception of Club 9D, blanking with 0. But looks like we have some great squads there. Are you surprised that Chernobyl's on top there, Millicrit?
Honestly, not at all. Watching them play was really, really impressive. And for a game like Free Fire, right, where it takes a lot of patience, but also a lot of opportunistic fighting and gameplay, Chernobyl is showing that they're shaping up to be one of the better squads that's able to find the kills and the positioning to boot. And we got to see there, right? The top 5 teams, actually, this might be the exact same top 5, or pretty close, actually, with Club 9D 1 notch down. Club 9D with a big bounce back, by the way. Game number 1, they racked up 0, and they managed to pick up 12 here in game number 2. So they really turned it on and picked it up. But yeah, we see here the top 6 that we saw from game number 2 are basically the top 6 that we saw on the overall, that we see here, on the overall leaderboard. Chernobyl, R15, Z4N, La Bahia, SG Team, and Club 9D. I think the only one that we might have seen, I think that's about it. Yeah, that same stack of top 6 are just really, really consistent players. And this is what I love, right? This is what I love to see about, the format and the way that we're going to get to watch a lot of these teams play and develop, is that we want to see those top teams really performing consistently. So again, great job to Chernobyl. I'm not as surprised to see them there. And I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day, we're going to see them at the top of the leaderboard still. But I mean, R15 and Z4N are looking really great as well.
Yeah, really, it's anybody in that top 5's game. And I think if you look at that leaderboard, one of the things that should be encouragement, if you're playing in a competition that's got multiple rounds, like this, 6 different rounds, you can blank a match. You can get the big old dreaded goose egg. You can get a 0. Club 9D got a 0 in first round, but they came back and had a strong game, positioned themselves at, I think, 7th, which, yeah, they're not in that top 6 yet, but they got 4 games left. They have an opportunity to move up into that top 6 and move on. And so one bad game doesn't necessarily sink the day. But I've played in these tournaments, and sometimes people, they just give up if they do bad and they have that one bad game. But you can stick through it with that one bad game and recognize, if you work together, if you play smart, if you be a little bit more aggressive and get some eliminations along with placing points, you can overcome a bad game to get yourself into the top of that leaderboard.
And that's what it's all about, right? Like, it's not just about the teams that perform every single time and just have crazy games every game. It's about those teams that fall short and manage to pick themselves up and really think about what they can do to improve their gameplay going into the next few games. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see those squads climb. There's a lot of middle of the pack squads that might not be having their pop-off games right now, but we've got 4 more games that adventure, and we could see them, picking them up and climbing up the leaderboards. There is honestly, it's hard to tell. And again, the qualifiers are so interesting because these teams,
Right.
a lot of them are also newer to these competitions. So, yeah, we should be rolling into the next game pretty soon here, I think. I'm not sure which lobby we'll get to spectate, but honestly, any lobby would be awesome. I believe it's going to be lobby 2 that we get to watch. And the action has been so great, Dad Venture. Are you surprised to see this much action and this much excitement around these games right now? Because I'm honestly thrilled.
I think it's been fun to watch because you don't know what to expect, right? These players don't necessarily know each other. We talked about some players that I know and have played against that are well known in the server, but a lot of these players this is the first time anyone's ever hearing about them. And so when you see them in the early lobby, when you can see maybe the names or numbers of some of these teams, you come across them on kill cams, you don't know who they are, but you're gonna know now. And so we've seen some tentative gameplay, especially I think that last lobby was more tentative gameplay as they're trying to fill each other out. But once you get to understand what kind of level of competition you're against, you know how to play rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6. You know if you need to be more aggressive, if you can stand to be more aggressive, or you know if you need to be a little bit more conservative and play for the points. And so I think this next round or two, we're going to figure out how that last 3 rounds are played by some of these teams. I think you're going to see a team like in that first lobby we watched, we see Shamson and that Jamaica squad, they're going to push the whole time. That's just the gameplay that they do. They're elite level players. They're going to do it. But I think we saw with this Chernobyl team, they're going to that late game and they're playing that position in the rotation and they're just going to play it smart. They're going to get the gear they need and then they're going to take everyone out there at the end. And it looks like they've been able to do that. And if they can do that a couple more times, they're probably moving on to the next day of competition at the end of the day because they'd really have to start getting a lot of those goose eggs to not move on.
Yeah, and you nailed it. It's really about like the different styles that we're going to get to see. There is no one size fits all for Free Fire. Every team is able and often willing to play it differently, regardless of how they place in a couple of games. Sometimes it takes a little bit to really get it going, and the stylistic differences are really what's going to matter. So we're getting here into game number 3 for lobby number 2. I am so excited because these fights have been getting better and better. I'm honestly just really pleasantly surprised at how positional a lot of these squads are playing. We're seeing those high damage, high kill games, but a lot of teams are making it to those 3rd and 4th placement rings. And that's honestly great to see because the bloodbath at the end is, I think, such a thrill to watch. Here we see Void, one of the first teams that we get to watch in lobby number 2, getting challenged by TM. Already some early fighting here at Old Hampton, and it's already a bit of a bloodbath in the early rounds here. I don't know if this is going to go their way though.
No, this is you really don't want to drop next to a team. Like that can work out for you. You can work out a lot of points, but in a competition where you're trying to move forward in the top half, you're better off to play it slow. You're better off to play it slow than to get blanked early by a bad drop. And so if you get a bad drop and land with somebody, especially when someone's got double vectors, that's just a hard place to be, as Void here is already down a player and looks like they don't have any med kits already. So you've got TM catching them out of position. They've got a quick elimination, and that's hard. And I think when we look at some of these other players, I look at some of the kill cams come up on the corner of the screen. I see some names I know. So I think we're going to have some of the well-known players in this server are going to be in this match. So we're going to see some of it as Ratio JA, Mr. Ratio from Jamaica. One of the influencers out of North America is in this match. Smoke there is another influencer. Sensei. We've got against Jamrock Sasha. We have some Jamaicans taking out some Jamaicans. We've got a couple influencer squads in this lobby. So we are definitely going to see super aggressive gameplay as Ratio takes out DFW Daniel. Takes out Smoke. So we've got some influencers that just went down, and we've got some influencers now, I think, in the points leader. So I think we'll see as we move over to see some of those squads in this match. We're going to have some aggressive gameplay. I don't think this match is going to look the same as the last match. I think we're going to see teams going down and out, and we're going to see a few of the elite squads going for some higher points. If I would say that I think we're going to have a couple of elite squads in this one, pull out a lot of eliminations, and we'll have to see moving forward if that's a good strategy to take this lobby.
First game we had 9 squads. Second game we get 10, and now we get 11. So we're just on the up and up here at Dad Venture as Ozark Esports trying to hold down this building against team number 7. And meanwhile, Blackhawks actually just gets taken out. So down to 10 squads. We didn't get that 11 for long as Ratio.
Okay, there we go. Mr. Ratio I talked about there. That Jamaican player and influencer gets a triple kill. And they think they may have taken that squad out. So well done, Mr. Ratio. That he's a great streamer. And if I think you'll see that name a lot over the course of this tournament.
Now we got Ozark Esports defending against what I believe is La ONU now. And both teams not looking to back down from this fight. Kelvin almost getting taken down, though, and needs to commit that time turner, and they're actually fighting back now. Not a lot to be seen from either squad, though. It's so close. And we've said it again and again. They have to be really careful with their resource management, because both of these teams have now invested a lot of time, glue walls and grenades to try and knock down another person of this team and maybe get the squad wipe for the kills. And they're punishing this rotation right now. La ONU moving into this building to try and play a little bit more together, but I don't necessarily know if that's the right call. Ozark is holding down a lot of different angles, so it's really tough for La ONU to find any sort of rotation, and Kelvin actually goes down as well. Now Danger walking up here, probably just going to full challenge. This team needs to be careful, though. Absolutely in the open.
See a double sniper. Here we go. We talked about this.
Crazy.
This is double sniper gameplay where you just hit that damage. You're going to take down. I think there's the whole squad here. Triple kill Ozark Danger with that double sniper. When you get the elite players, you're going to see a quadra kill there. We talked about how we hadn't seen a lot of those double snipers, but honestly, Melocrit, as you move forward in this competition and see these games, you're going to see that your better teams are going to have a player who is an elite double sniper player who just rains down damage from afar, and then those other players will advance with glue walls and will finish out the kills very quickly. And it's easy to take out a player who's already been hit by a sniper once, because they're going to have 50 health, maybe 100 health if they're lucky, and it's just an easy, if you run in there with an MP40 or a UMP, it's an easy cleanup when you're seeing that the Ozark used that with brutal effect right there.
Yeah, Danger absolutely looked like a menace. Like that was so scary, because I would have thought that they were completely out of position, right? They didn't have tons of cover. They were walking into a full stack of 3, but just with some crazy shots off of that double sniper, they're able to find 1 knock and then 2 knocks and then 3, but it's not going to work out just as nice this time. Danger just gets straight up taken out by LK, maybe a little bit too confident with that double sniper, and just gets absolutely demolished. That is not the way to go for Ozark.
Definitely not what you want to follow up with after that wonderful start. So they've lost their double sniper player, and they're gonna bail out. Probably the wisest thing to do after they had got that quadra kill. They're already sitting at 4 points. If you get in the top 5 here, you're gonna post a decent score in the round. So Ozark is backing out, and right there with the quadra kill, Mr. Ratio picking up a quadra kill, and so well done, Mr. Ratio. Again, one of those players we talked about as an elite player. We haven't seen him in the game yet, but we will as they rotate through. I'm sure as they continue to pick up kills, but we're seeing the kill cam telling us we have some great gameplay happening all across Kalahari, which is my favorite map, Melocrit.
Yeah, Follows are extremely happy to have them on their team. Bruce here from Team 440 goes down, and I'm not exactly sure. Oh, they're actually fighting the trio of Ozark, so now it's a clean 3v3, but that angle is crazy, and Juanpa goes down. Axel trying to survive, but they're stuck between 3 members. I don't think they're going to get out of here, Dadventure, as they get knocked out. Ozark Esports is eliminated after what was a crazy fight, but now the third
party comes in. And you don't want to, again, this is just what happened to Ozark. They got caught downhill, and they've already used all of their med kits for the most part. They've used their glue walls. So all that teammate has to do is sit uphill and just keep shooting until they've out-resourced them, and then they're going to be an easy cleanup as you're just getting pressed by that zone, and you're getting pressed. You got Mufasa trying to move into zone, moving around, trying to flank, but LKRDM takes him out.
And honestly, Lord Kill making this game look easy for them. They find another triple kill. They have 6 kills to their name, and that is the best way that you can really hope to start this match. They are quite a ways outside of zone, though, but not too far. And they actually have that loot rich zone that we've talked about before. Ratio and his team seems to be pretty far caught out of zone here. I'm not exactly sure what they're planning. They're getting looked down by Void, who we did see fighting
Ratio's team has went down, so Ratio is the only one left. I know they've got kills. So Sasha and Smoke are on Ratio's team. You see Team 9 that went down with DFW Daniel, another one of our North American influencers, against a squad of influencers with Smoke and Sasha and Ratio. And so what Ratio's doing here, I'm sure, is trying to move into position, get those points. They've already got eliminations, so if they can get into that top 5, top 6, pick up some extra points, they'll position well and save the round. And so it'll be interesting to see how many kills they ended up with. We know they got at least 4. As they took out most of that squad, but I think they took out another squad as well. So right now they're way out of Ratio's way back in that zone, and probably is going to work his way out of that with just a tiny bit of life left and try to save as much as he can. As we see TM over here on the other side of the map having 1 kill. We saw them in early action against the Void Squad. They obviously backed out of that battle, and so we can see where they're going from here. And we got this JR Swag team here. Team God is not seeing really, I don't think, too much action. I haven't seen their name on the kill cam. They haven't got any kills, and looks like they've chosen a part of Kalahari where no one else wanted to be. So probably doing well as this circle rotation is about to happen here.
Yeah, they didn't get tons of action early on, but they're in a decent position, so they might look for a couple more fights. And we know that you need to find a couple of fights to really move up on the leaderboards. We're not sure how their first 2 matches shaped out, so maybe they're making a bit of a strategic call here. And I know you mentioned it before, how you shouldn't be super afraid of that first ring. But if you're Ratio right now, I mean, I think they know where Ratio is, and Void, the 2-man, maybe looking to find this kill. I think they know where they are. I'm not exactly sure whether they spotted them earlier or if they just got a little bit of intel, but they are so far outside of zone right now, and I think they might. This could actually be really dangerous. Oh, he does find a lot of early shots. Ratio now hopping onto the bike. That is pretty good damage to start, but now they still have to find a 1 versus 2. If anyone's going to do it, it's probably them. They start to rotate right in front of the other member. They might just get away with
Ratio, this. We are seeing high-level gameplay right here. Ratio engages. I don't know why he engaged. I'm going to ask him that later. Why did you engage that one, Ratio? But just drives right through him. That is some definitely, that's a player who knows how to play, right? You're knowing that they're going to be able to shoot you. There were, I think, only 2 shots hit him as he drove off, and now he can take that motorcycle, position himself better. And again, we're now into points as the top 7 teams are. If Ratio can get into some of the later part of the round here, he's going to be able to pick up more points for his team. So well done, Mr. Ratio. And if you're watching this, that's one of the reasons why Mr. Ratio is an influencer. He's one of the great players here in North America.
We love to see it. Here we see Vikings actually getting in a bit of an engagement from Team Money, which we saw earlier. Oh, and that was so close to a down, but they are able to trade it out. Goldem going down instead. The glue wall saving the member of Team Money just in time, and the cross shots are there. Now Team Money maybe looking to get aggressive. The grenades are going to start flying.
Here comes the grenade.
Here are the timings. I don't quite think they nailed it, but they did it. And Vinico actually going down. This is a really weird position, though. Team Money is not quite able to push. They're going to put down a lot of glue walls just to be safe, but the grenades keep coming, and now they're trying to retreat. That grenade doesn't quite find its target, and this is so scary. But Team Money on the low ground isn't going to be able to do a lot here other than to deplete the resources of Vikings RD. So they are able to stabilize for now. They both have spots in ring, but this could turn into a really ugly fight if one team decides to get aggressive.
Yeah, if you're VRD right here, you have the high ground. Like, they don't have to be super aggressive. They survived the grenades. I think I saw 3 or 4 different grenades come. They're not carrying too many at this early point in the match. So what they can do is just be patient here. Like, this is a place to be patient, not be too aggressive. Don't give up your position. Just like the circle's going to close here. They don't have to go anywhere anytime soon. They've got plenty of time. The circle doesn't even start closing for another 9 seconds. And so this is just where, as a players, Mellowcrit, you got to be a little patient, right? You don't have to wipe this squad right now. Take the time, put some damage on them, and allow them to spend their resources trying to come up and take you out of position. And if you can't do that, you can maybe pick 1 or 2 of them off and get some of those elimination points as you move into the later part of the match.
Absolutely right. There's really no need to get crazy here, but Team Money actually does manage to knock down Guasan, and now they're closer to the height, so this could be their chance to push, and they might opt to do so because they honestly don't have the best position here, and they are pretty far outside of ring. Vikings once again picking up their down members, so not quite a kill here, but again, they're depleting so many resources, though they have a lot to spare from the looks at it. I think we saw 9 glue walls there for for that teammate. So yeah, again, they just have to hold this down, but neither team is quite in zone right now, and they're just going to keep raining down bullets because they have to stay aggressive, at least aggressive enough that they don't get pushed down. Both teams are going to have to walk here soon, and they're going to run into a lot of other squads as we still have 7 squads left alive here. A fantastic overhead view of this council hall.
Matchup, yeah. Yeah, Council Hall is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite matches in the game. This is a Clash Squad match, which is 4v4 or 6v6 now. And so I love playing Council Hall, probably my favorite of all the maps. And landing here and having the zone come here. This is a map, this is a portion of the map you're very familiar with either as a Battle Royale player or a Clash Squad player. So you're going to see there's going to be a lot of action as these players advance. Team 4 pushes into Team 10 and 11. We've got a three-way battle right here. And, of course, saving those last couple grenades to weaken up the enemy right here.
And it's actually God that walked in here. They did not care who was in the building. They walk in, get absolutely aggressive, and now they're a bit stuck here, putting down a lot of glue walls, but Team Money might just opt to pop in here, and they do so, but they actually get knocked down right away. The time turner going down to try and salvage this. Team Money in a sticky situation. They need to be able to find these kills. They need to be able to pick up their members. 1 member fully killed. Actually, 2 members now down, and it's going to be a 2 versus, I believe, 3. This is not looking great for them as Panini picking up a triple kill. This is an absolute disaster.
We've had a triple kill and a quadra kill right here. So and another quadra kill. That's 2 quadra kills for LK right here. LK came out of that, a 3-way battle. They came out of that with 2 quadra kills. Well done. Well done by that team. I'm sure they're going to end up with some nice elimination points. Now 4 teams left. We've got Tanjiro over here. We got Team Money with 2 players, and there's only 9 players left in the match. Team 8 has all 4, but Lord Kill got caught out of position against Team 12. Can they get in there and fast enough to save that player? But I don't think they're going to be able to. Well, it looks like we'll have to see. They've left Lord Kill down as bait. All right, no, Lord Kill just gets back up.
Yep, Void only with 1 member. Make that 0.
Beautiful Team Money triple kill right there.
Great launcher kill. And Lord Kill now going to fully recover. Lord Kill, an absolute menace on this side of the map, but they do have 2 teams on height. We do see the last member of Vikings here trying to take out a member of Team Money. Not quite successful. I think actually LK the one that takes them down, and that is Team
We've got
Vikings
a one-on-one
RD
on
going
4,
all the way out. Oh, never mind. It's actually Tanjiro that's still left alive, the lone member of Vikings and the lone member of Team Money against a full 4 stack of LK, and honestly it looks like LK's game to lose, but they do lose 1 member. They trade back the kill, and now 3 members still up. A lone member of Team Money left to try and make this happen. That adventure, this is looking like a bit of a dire situation for Team Money.
Yeah, right here, you're trying to get an elimination point. If I'm LK, so we're gonna get the kill here. So booyah! Let's go! Way to go, LK. 4 kills for Reed. We had 2 quadra kills there. This Lord Kill team looks the part, playing in a lobby that I know have at least 2 or 3 teams full of influencers. So to come out of that lobby with a booyah and to be that dominating there going into the final round and to get those quadra kills, nicely done job. I actually am writing Lord Kill down in my book right now. Team Lord Kill. Dev Ventures is going to know who you are at the end of this. I'm going to watch the replay, get to know you guys, but well done. That was a pretty impressive play, especially since I know and have played with and against those influencers, and I know they're legitimately really great players.
Yeah, and Lord Kill will be a name known not just by us, by everyone watching today, checking out the North American Free Fire Pro Series, because, yeah, that was a crazy performance, and it wasn't like they were just running in and just taking wild fights. We saw them throughout the game just making their rotation, taking shots, making their rotation, taking shots, but every time they decided to engage and every time they decided to fight, they were taking out 1 squad, if not additional members who decided to try and pick a fight with the wrong team. So Team Lord Kill, absolutely brutal performance there. Managed to take the booyah and take out a lot of teams. I imagine there's going to be a lot of kill points in it for them, and I'm really curious to know what their total score is going to look like, because if the lobbies have looked anything like that through games 1 and 2, this team is going to be far on top. But what do we expect to see, not just in this leaderboard from some of the other teams? I think you're going to see
20 points, 22 points there. I mean, I saw at least two quadra kills, I believe, for that team. That's 8 elimination points. They're going to get to 12 points for the placing. So right there, that's 20 points. So I don't know how many other eliminations they got on the way, but I think they got a couple others. So I would be surprised if they don't come out of that with 20 points. Now we may be associating there's some others. But I think that those teams that got those eliminations along the way, we're going to see a definite difference between Lord Kill and maybe second, third, fourth place in points. I think we're going to see at least 5, 6, 7 points separate those in this matchup. And then we'll see a few teams, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 teams bunched up together. And then I think you're going to see a big drop off in that lobby. It seems like there was some just elite teams in that lobby. And then there were some other teams who just struggled in that round. Maybe we'll see that if we can see the overall leaderboard for this lobby, we'll see how they've done over these last 3 games as we get to the halfway point of the night. And so as we get to check out these lobbies, I was excited to see some names I know, especially that motorcycle escape from Mr. Ratio, which he and I are going to discuss later. I'm excited to talk to him about that. That was probably the highlight for me of that round, just seeing how he was able to turn that into more points.
Yeah, there wasn't a crazy placement. It wasn't a ton of kills for that team, but what a getaway there. And I actually want to take a look at the leaderboard here, because I was impressed to see Void actually recovering in a really fantastic manner and getting really, really late into the game. So we'll check out the leaderboard here shortly, I believe, because these teams were honestly frying. And there it is, Lord Kill Esports with 24 points. Team Money a whole 10 points behind them. 12 kills for Lord Kill. Honestly, as the name states, that is all they were doing that game. Absolutely dominant performance here for the first the first game on Kalahari. Team Money in second, Vikings RD, who we did see holding down that spot in third. Void Gaming manages to crawl into fourth, and this is what we were talking about, Adventure. There are a lot of situations where even if you have 1 or 2 or even 3 members down, you're able to pick up a lot of placement points. So 0 kills, but 7 placement points for Void Gaming. God Sports in 5th and Foulest in 6th.
It's not a lot of points, 7, right? But if you look at it, that puts you above the other half of the board. That puts you in 6th place. So even though you can get any eliminations, they're in 6th place. And remember, the top 6 teams after 6 rounds are going to move forward into the next day of competition. And so that was a wise maneuver to get into that elimination, get those points and not worry about the eliminations. And really for Void Gaming, it puts them at 6 overall. So that strategy, had they not done that, had they not tried to get on into the later part of the game and pick up those points, they would be sitting really in teams that are going to not make it in advance. So I would say as we look at this matchup, well done by Void Gaming, but Lord Kill had a great individual performance, as well as I think you really liked Ozark early on that game, as Danger had that double sniper quadra kill. And you can see they may not have had the best match here. They kind of got caught out of position. They got triple teamed, but ultimately still sitting well on probably moving forward at the end of the day if they can continue that level of gameplay.
Yeah, that Danger double sniper gameplay was honestly ridiculous to watch. And this is what's great about getting to watch now the third game and seeing the overall leaderboards, because Lord Kill looked absolutely dominant that game, and they are on top of the leaderboard. But look at Ozark. Their game 1 was a 23-point game, and Laonu also had a 20-point game in game number 2 with the 17-point game in game 1. So nothing to scoff at. These teams that are at the top, it's close, man. It is not just a one-sided affair for any of these games. But in any case, it's great to see these, and we'll get to see a lot more of these leaderboards as we move on to game number 4 after the break. So everyone watching, make sure you stay tuned, and we will catch you shortly for game number 4, the second game on Kalahari.
is just another learning experience.
First blood. Double kill. Triple kill. Ace!
Welcome back, Free Fire, to round 4. We have had 3 rounds of amazing lobbies as we watch these 192 teams show us who is the best right now in North America in the Free Fire Pro Series North America. We're excited. I'm here with Melocrit. We're back at it. We are halfway through. We've seen some teams playing. We've seen some of the North American influencers play. We've seen some names we've never heard of, like Lord Kill play and Chernobyl. What do you think, Melocrit, as we get into the last half of this competition? What do you think about the gameplay? What do you think about the individual talent and the team talent we've seen so far?
3 games in and 3 games to go. Every single one has been an absolute blast. I love that all of these teams are absolutely just bringing it. They are not afraid to show what they've got. So yeah, it's been a blast. A lot of those teams, like you said, Lord Kill and Ozark, and we've seen some people that we know, but a lot of people that we don't, and that's honestly the best part of this qualifier. So the gameplay has been so fun to watch. It's been an absolute blast. And it's been really positional, which has been really, really exciting for me because I love to see teams play smart. But it's also been deadly, especially in those later rings. These teams just pick up the pace with the grenades and with the snipers. Now we got to see a little bit of that from Ozark with Danger. So yeah, I expect to see a lot more of that. And now that the lobbies have kind of developed, we are moving into game 4, right? And we're actually going to get to check out lobby 7 very shortly here. But the teams have now gotten a taste for how other teams like to play in their lobby. And that's honestly a big deal. If you're seeing a lot of these teams pop off and have really big performances, maybe you're looking at where they're dropping. Maybe you're looking at where you might want to avoid or the teams that you might want to take out early. So that's honestly what's big for me, is seeing how these teams are going to adapt as we move into game number 4.
Yeah, and they're going to settle into a rhythm. Each team's going to find a rhythm. You're going to see how the other teams in your lobby have played. They're playing against the same teams over 6 different maps over the course of this competition. Half of the teams, 6 in each lobby, will move forward to the next round of competition. And so you don't have to win it. You don't have to get first place on the day. You've got to get the points. The name of the game is get points. Move on to the next round. And then in that round, you're going to do the same thing until you move into the finals, where $50,000 is on the line. And so you want to get through this competition. You don't need to be the greatest player of all time today. You need to have a team that works together with a good rhythm, that figures out your skills, the mechanics of the game, the way you're going to play. And I think we're going to see that rhythm come to fruition as we move forward in game 4. And we're going to jump into lobby 7 here. We're going to see some players we haven't yet seen on the day and see which ones are going to really give us the ability to get excited about their name. Now, there's a name on here that I know, Trinidad God. I know him personally. Great player here in this server. And so we're going to see some other of these awesome players. I expect Trinidad God and his team to do well in this matchup. And some of these others, Joker XXX is a name that I know. And so I think we've got some players that I know are good players, Millicrit. And after 3 rounds, I think we're going to see what is happening in this lobby.
And I can't wait to see how these teams play and interact. It looks like the teams are already kind of just running straight at each other. XST looking down on this squad here. And a little bit of an early fight. I'm really excited to see that teams finally drop on the eastern side of the map, because we have seen literally none of that across the first 3 games. But yeah, here we see XST with Carlos, Mex, Tien, Naruto, and Pibe, who are just starting to get aggressive here. They're just walking all the way up and getting an early kill here. Make that 2. This is just a quick and easy fight for them to win, and already on top with 2 kill points. Wow, Cholo's team kicking it off with a bang.
Yeah, I would say XST there with the 2 eliminations. That's a great way to start. Looks like we only have 9 teams in this matchup, so there's not a lot of elimination points. So what teams can do here, when you know there's only 9 teams in the field to play, you're missing a few squads, every team is going to end up with points for the most part. So all you need to do is move into that last half of the round, get in the top 5. There's not a ton of elimination points. You're going to see teams with 5 elimination points, 4 elimination points, maybe 1 with 7 or 8. But for the most part, if you can get a couple kills and get some of those late round points, that's a great strategy for moving forward in a competition into the later rounds. Because we said you don't have to win it. And so we'll see if any of these teams utilize that strategy. Maybe this FB team here. This is a team, I think it's Fire Black. They've got 2 guys down already. It would be a good strategy for them to use those positional points by getting into the top 4, maybe the top 3, and walking away with this round with some points and just moving on to that next 5th round.
Yep. Sometimes you got to move on and go next. That didn't go their way, but yeah, like we said, we've seen teams like Void who were able to scrape together a lot of placement points, even though they weren't able to win those early fights. So we'll probably see them later. And we have a lot of talented players in the server, as you have said. Dad Adventure, tell me a little bit about Kalahari and how the dynamic has kind of changed. We got to see the first 2 games on Bermuda and now on Kalahari. How are things looking different? Do you see teams being more aggressive? Do you see teams playing even more positionally been before? Because it's really interesting to switch maps in the middle, right? Like we get to see how different teams adapt their gameplay, not just to the teams that they're playing against, but against the map itself.
Yeah, I think Kalahari, to me, this is the most beautiful of all the maps. I think it has the most detail. I love the mountains that surround the map. And if you're a player of this game in Free Fire, we have a ranked game mode. In ranked game mode, you have Bermuda, you've got Bermuda Remastered, and you've got Purgatory. You don't play Kalahari. So a lot of players don't download Kalahari, and you're going to find out the elite players, they play Kalahari. They know the map. They know where to go. They know the angles that they need to shoot from. And they know where the advantages are from height to the best buildings to be in. And you're going to find even some good players don't play Kalahari very often because they're limited to space on their phones. And so I think Kalahari, when you play the Kalahari map, I think it evens out the playing field for some of the good players and some of the weaker players. Because if you play this map a lot like I do, I'm very familiar with Kalahari. I feel comfortable playing Kalahari all the time. But other players may not. And that's where I think the danger is with Kalahari for some players who may be at a higher caliber, but maybe get overconfident that they haven't played this map enough and push in a disadvantaged situation, and maybe will get themselves eliminated early. And so I think Kalahari, it's 2 maps that you get to play it in 2 rounds. It's a great balance for a day like today where we have 6 maps.
And one thing that is often understated, but is super important, is that being at the top of your server, being at the top of competitive NA Free Fire is not just about aiming well. It's not just about resource management. It's not just about rotations. It's the micro play, right? If you are fighting against another team in one of these, central points, like here we have Shrines where we've seen a couple of fights. If you know which angle to play, and if you have the map knowledge to bring to the table, along with fantastic aim and fantastic grenade throws and everything else we've gotten to see, that makes a really big difference. And it's what can sometimes separate the good teams from the great teams. Here we see Star over here in Shrines by themselves, kind of hanging out. And we'll get to see the leaderboard at the end. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it right at the beginning. But I'm curious to know if, these teams that are still up right now, if they've been the ones that have been dominating the whole time, or if we're going to see something new, right? We're going to see some teams adapt and make some crazy plays here. DT holding it down in the danger zone. So they're going to have to move. How much do danger zones play into your strategy when you're, figuring out where you want to rotate on the map?
Well, truthfully, in a squad game, the danger zone is not really that risky. Your players can go down, and as long as someone is left alive, you can bring them back up. And you don't. I've maybe been killed in the year of playing. I've maybe been killed twice in the danger zone, and it was always when I was like solo playing. And if you get hit when you're solo playing the danger zone, you're out. You're done. But when you're playing with a duo or a squad, generally your team's going to bring you back up. You're just wasting some med kits. And so some of your better teams will utilize the danger zone to reposition. They'll use it to flank and approach because they won't stay close together, right? If everybody gets hit by the meteor, then they're all dead. But the meteors usually don't damage enough if you're spread out. And so it's one of those things. I like to use it when I'm playing in a squad game. I like to use it to reposition, especially if I'm trying to get away from an enemy who's pushing me. It's just better to run through the danger zone, take the risk, get a better position, and come back after you've met it up.
And this is really awesome to see, where we might get a bit of an engagement here from C7. Maybe he's looking for a bit of that extra KP, looking up on, I believe, Cholo's team. And I love to see 9 squads up. All 9 squads are still up as this first round closes. So we're going to get to see a lot of those fights sort of forced by that ring. Cholo's here trying to find a position, but they are on the low ground, and this could be pretty dangerous. They need to play this carefully. They do have C7 in their sights now. They know that they are up there. And what a timely time turner. That was actually really
important. A couple of time turners
able
there.
To trade out the kill. The glue ball goes down. They're going to make this rev happen, but they are pushing hard now. C7 really like their positioning there, but they're able to recover Cholos now in a defensive situation, but they're not out of the woods yet. And now they have to back off all the way,
taking that damage by dropping, but not enough, because Trueno, they're hitting him from a long range with the SKS. I think we're going to see a down and out here. Yeah, that's That's where you just don't want to take that fall damage without the ability. And I am Carlos was moving forward, trying to get the weapons. I think he was going for snipers. I think he was trying to get the other player's snipers, and unfortunately was flanked from the side and was eliminated. So we got a 1 and a 2 down right there just by utilizing that height advantage and the flanking there on the other tower.
Yep, and that's going to be another member down for Cholos, and one member left standing up on top. It's IMP Bay. C7 does actually lose a member, which is really unfortunate here. They are able to pick up some kill points, but Cholos is not done yet, and they continue to throw out grenades, but now they are getting pushed up on. The glue walls go down, and the other glue wall to match, but this is honestly a dire situation. If you're Cholos, if you're the last member, you're probably going to get out of here. There is the zip. So C7 does find some kills, but they did cost them one death. Oh,
nice long-range shot.
Shot out of the
Trying
sky
to get
there.
Away, and brutal shot. I think that's a team elimination there.
Yeah,
so
man,
well
C7
done,
played
C7
that
Sport.
Really well. Yeah, and I was honestly kind of surprised to see that Cholos committed to that push. They were playing one singular angle up on that bridge. They didn't have any cross shots set up quite yet. So C7 punishing them really heavily there for their aggression. They did lose a member, which is a little bit suboptimal, but they're going to be able to recover. And now they're actually getting shot at by, I think, another team. I see them up on the northeast. And yeah, they're going to have to get out of there. Oh, excuse me. C7 is actually on the far left. But there is a fight up on the northeast there. As the circle starts to close, all of these teams are about to clash, and I think it's going to get even deadlier here. 8 squads left going into ring number 2.
We've got Team 11 rotating circle behind Team 6. A nice rotation. We've got Star-Lord and Zach and Shuka and Zeus moving up the hill, trying to get the height advantage. It could go well for him. Star-Lord has got 7 glue walls. You don't really need to be in a building and have cover when you got 7 glue walls. But Santi is sitting there just waiting patiently. And if Santi can get a nice drop here, a quick down with a headshot, this could change the fortunes of Star-Lord. Oh, beautiful. Didn't get the headshot, but enough damage to slow Star-Lord down.
And this could be the start of something really good. But here we're going to see that Star-Lord's is going to start tossing those nades. And Santi goes down right away. Another grenade there to try and finish it off. Doesn't quite get the kill. But at this point, Fire Black is going to go down. And it's not going to be a great game for them here. We did see them earlier. It looked like they were able to pick up some scraps and move out of the way. But unfortunately, now they're down to a solo member who I don't think is really going to be able to
Rich took off.
there.
Rich is going for points. So as soon as they put his teammate down, he left. There was no love there. He left. He's going for that positional points, which is probably the best thing you can do, especially with, like we said, a smaller lobby. There are points to get. There's not a lot of elimination points. When you spread those out, it's probably the right thing to do for Rich is to take off and live to play another day as they move forward. We've got a nice shot there with a parafoul across the board. And I love this is an area here, the pirate ships. I love this pirate ship. It's one of the levels that you get to play in Clash Squad. It's again, Kalahari is my favorite Clash Squad. It's my favorite map, and I love playing these. These are original and unique feeling levels. They got pyramids and pirate ships. They got dinosaur bones, and so it's really cool to play this map. And when you look at Kalahari, Mellowcrit, more so than any other board, there's a lot of height advantage in Kalahari. A lot of the buildings are tall, they're big. You don't see as much in Bermuda. If you remember Bermuda, you very rarely have a structure that you can get on top of that's larger than 2 floors. And when you do, they're usually on the edge of the board. They're not typically in the middle of the board, whereas Kalahari has a nice spread across the board of high structures, which you can utilize to your advantage, especially during circle rotations by other squads. If you can get up there and you can get a squad rotating and you can get them with some nice shots, just like we had here with Team 9, hitting Team C7 and doing some major damage and getting one down, that's going to be hard as they're trying to do that rotation, but it's going to be taken out.
Yeah, and I was going to say C7 was actually the team I was just about to mention because with that height, they were able to take out Cholos. But now they're getting punished by that height here. LG putting down a lot of damage to C7. They are able to recover and pick up their down member, but they're still not in a great spot. And as the circle closes and as the squads kind of get sandwiched together, DMH is the squad that they're going to have to deal with, or rather DMH from this squad is the one they're going to have to deal with. A lot of damage going down, and that's a good way to recover. But there's a cross shot, the glue wall going down. They don't quite go down, but now the push is on, and Pepito trying to get a nice angle and a nice grenade, but they back out immediately. And it's actually Navy that finds the knock onto one member actually of another team. I was a little confused there, but it's actually team number 5 on the wings that they're taking down Mr. Hacks and Aimbot at EXE. That team is the one
Triple
that
kill
was
there,
walking
C7
up
now.
on them, and that is a great start. C7 does lose a member, but they are still alive, and a lot of times that's all that matters to Adventure, as they need to find a way into this next ring.
Yeah, and so we talked about like how position matters. We talked about rotation. We've talked about circle rotation as that zone is pressing in, moving in. But in Kalahari, in Bermuda, in Purgatory, the maps that we see in the competition, the thing about it is that when you look at these maps, there are broad areas of open space without cover. If you're doing a late rotation on the circle, and unfortunately you're trying to go against a team who's already got a height position that's well kitted up, you're going to lose that rotation. It's not an advantageous rotation. And so as we see a lot of these shots go here from that height advantage on teams that are trying to get into circle, we're just seeing point after point after point getting picked up by this team here, which is the Tijuana team.
And that ridge, the bottom of that ridge was an absolute death trap for all of those teams that found their way in there. We're all the way down from 8 teams almost in previous ring down to 4. And we have a triple stack here on Star. We have them looking down on this other squad who's still trying to move in, and they still don't have a spot. There's going to be a down from Zeus, and this is looking honestly kind of awful for squad number 7. They need to find a way into this ring, and team 10 as well as THA. I'm not exactly sure what team that is. I want to say that is Tijuana. I believe that you mentioned that previously.
Tijuana, yeah.
They're holding down a fantastic spot here. They're not in ring either, but sometimes if you can wait out the ring and play these advantageous positions, you can bully some of the teams that rotated in late and make sure that you get those kill points before you go into that final
Well,
ring.
there's no cover in this ring, right? This ring is the middle of the road. There's no cover. There's one building on the other side, which Team 10 has secured. So Team 10 does not have to rotate right now. So it is up to them just to lay still. But unfortunately, Shuka's got this a spot right through the door, is doing some damage to Team 10, which allows them to be able to move in with a glue wall and to move in position, which is well done. Well done there on that strategy of how to move in and utilize glue walls as cover, as we see Team 7's utilizing glue wall. And we got Shelly putting the glue walls down. JoJo's going to move out here soon and get behind those glue walls. And the key is, how many glue walls do you have left? This is going to be a glue wall battle. You're going to see these teams all have obviously saved a lot of glue walls for the end of this match. And I think, I think that the person with the most glue walls here is probably going to be the team that ends up 1 or 2 here at the end of this lobby.
Yep, and here we see Star here holding down what is probably the best position, but now they have to move as well. They have Tijuana on the left. They're starting to push up these glue walls, and the grenades start flying. The artillery is going to get crazy here. So much damage going down, and not enough glue walls to defend against it. Star now just straight up walks up onto Tijuana and starts finding these kills. One member outside of zone. They're able to trade it out, though. There's 2 members left of Star, and 3 teams up. Make that 2 as that team goes down, and I think it's just Tijuana.
So we got a 3-on-3 here, and we got
it won't be enough.
Booyah! Let's go. Nice job. Well done, team. That was the DN Bad Boy with the MVP on the match. Well done. That team there is team 22. I'm not sure exactly which team that is. We'll find out here in a second. But not a team we talked a lot about. We hadn't seen a lot of gameplay, but they utilized position. They had the glue walls. And of course, I think they had the grenades. That's the key. We did a little talking about the grenades, but grenades and glue walls right there were very effective as a strategy there to finish up that round.
Yeah, and they were really the only squad that was left with cover there in that final ring. They held it down for just long enough. When Tijuana had to make their way down the hill, like you said, Adventure, they literally had no cover other than the glue walls that they were carrying with them in their pockets. So Tijuana did their best. The other squad on the left also did their best. But at the end of the day, it was that squad 22 Stars. I'm not exactly sure what team name they are. I think it's New Stars, I believe, is the name of the team. New Stars there picking up the booyah. And yeah, that was kind of a mess right up until that final ring, where it was just kind of a waiting game. And at the end of the day, yeah, it's all about the glue walls. It's all about the grenades. And there just wasn't enough glue walls there for any of the squads. So congratulations there to New Stars. And I'm excited to see this leaderboard because we're starting to see this play develop, right? And a lot of squads, we actually saw Team Fire Black make it into 4th place, which is crazy to think about, right? Because we saw them almost lose all of their members right off the bat, and then we almost saw them die again while they were making the rotation into that 3rd ring. But there they were in top 4, and that matters a lot. Because if they have other good games and other good games with kills, you just need to keep racking up those points. And here we're going to see on this leaderboard how this lobby is shaping up. And there we see it. New Stars in 1st place from map 4, Tijuana in 2nd, and Forgotten Ones in 3rd. What a performance. But yep, there we see it. Fire Black.
We saw C7. We saw C7 do pretty well. They got the 7 kills with 11 points, which is going to put them in, I think, 3rd place in the lobby, which is great. That they didn't end up getting a higher place, but enough to get 3rd. And hopefully, I think that we saw that they played well enough together as a team. They move well together. They support each other. I'm guessing when we see the overall leaderboard for them, they're going to be in that top 6, probably going to be moving forward. New Stars looks like a really tough team. We see New Stars here in 5th place. C7, we just talked about them. We liked watching them. They seem to know how to play well together. And I think they're proving it round after round. They've been super consistent. They had that big first round 20, and then they've just been consistently placing throughout the tournament. Obviously, probably not either getting a high placing or a lot of eliminations, but they've been finding a balance to really work out this lobby. And for me, Mellocrat, I don't know what you think about this. I think any of these top 9 teams have a chance to move forward here at this point. I mean, not a lot of points separate the bottom of the board. You've got 13 points separate the bottom of the board. That could easily, from 5th place to 10th place, one big round could move you all the way up into the top 5. So I think this competitive lobby looks to be a tough lobby moving into game 5 and game 6.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it because that was the first thing that caught my eye. We saw the other lobbies with some pretty huge differentials up on the top cut. But looking at this, you said it. I think it's 12 points that separate 6th place from 1st, which is absolutely insane because we've seen squads put up 20-point games. Here we see in game 1, C7 actually had a game just like that. Same thing with Dream Team, actually. I can't imagine how that game went when 2 teams found their way to 20 points. But yeah, this is crazy. This is a crazy closed lobby, and I'd love to see if we could check out more of their games. But we do want to move on from this one because there are a lot more lobbies to watch, So we'll be moving on to lobby 3. But yeah, this is so cool to see. C7, Tijuana, a lot of those squads that are performing, they're really consistent, and man, that is tight. I would actually hate to be in this lobby and love to be in this lobby because it's so competitive, right? And that's what we love about Free Fire.
Let me say this. There's a sleeper in that lobby, right? There's a sleeper in that lobby, and that's the Greek Gods. They out of 4 games, they had that 120 drop in round 2, and the other ones were 2, 0, and 2. That means at any time, Greek Gods can drop another 20 and change the entire fortunes of the rounds for moving forward in the competition for 1 or 2 teams. So if I'm in that lobby, I'm going to press for points. I'm going to get eliminations. I'm going to try to be aggressive because a team like Greek Gods is down there in 9th place, but it's so close they could easily pop off for 20 points and move themselves up. And I don't want to be sitting in 5th or 6th place moving into game 6 thinking about, well, there's this sleeper team out there that could put a bunch of points up. So I want to go into game 5 walking out of there with 10 points. That would be if I was coaching that team, I said, get 10 points. If you're in that top 5, secure yourself a good opportunity in game 6, and let's move on to the second round of this tournament. But anybody can take it. And I'm excited to see each of these lobbies have looked a little different. We've had lobbies with some elite level competition, and we've had some lobbies where it's more balanced. And so it'll be interesting to watch this next lobby to see what's happened. Are we going to get a balanced lobby? Are we going to get one where there's just some teams that are shining? And I like the balanced lobbies myself.
Yeah, and it's really cool because if you really think about it, we got to see it briefly. We got to see a 20-point game from 2 teams where it's like, oh, these guys are going to dominate the entire lobby. It doesn't matter. Just go next. And then slowly every other team picking it up and recovering and making it look close. So yeah, I'm excited. But here we go into game number 5. And this is actually going to be our first game in Purgatory here for lobby number 3, which we did actually get to see earlier, I believe. I'm not actually sure. Yeah, there it is. Chernobyl already on the board with a kill. And that is honestly ridiculous. But yeah, here we see a brand new map and a brand new dynamic for a team, but a lot of the same teams in Chernobyl. My goodness, they're just an absolute menace.
Yeah, we see up here, we see Chernobyl Esports is one that we enjoyed watching. And look at this, taking that high position. Now, Purgatory, the difference with Purgatory and the other maps is I feel like Purgatory's got a lot of open space but it doesn't have the height advantage of Kalahari in the interior. I think you've got the exterior height advantage as you've got some mountains on the outside. But once you get to that interior, there's just a lot of buildings. And so this is a building map where you're going to see a lot of the early and mid-late gameplay is going to happen in and around buildings. And then usually at the end of this, you're going to find that there's a lot of gear in this map, and you're going to see a lot of teams kitted up. I think a lot of glue walls. Purgatory is always a map where I just know it's going to be glue walls, glue walls, glue walls. And with that means there's going to be lots of grenades. So I expect you to see some of these teams go and farm for some glue walls and some grenades early on, get some early eliminations, especially we've seen some of these teams be super aggressive. So I think we're going to see more of the same of what we've seen before.
And talking about aggression, we already see here that we see a defense there from 9D, actually, maybe a little bit too aggressive. Was this other team? I believe it might be, I want to say that 9D was fighting R15. Still getting a little bit used to the squads here, but Abreu here, actually, no, that's La Bahia. That's La Bahia who's pushing in. They did get punished for that aggression, though, and now 90 with 4 members strong are going to start tossing nades, and this could get really ugly for La Bahia really quickly. The grenades are traded out.
The flank's
no
coming.
Downs quite
so it's going to be a 3-on-1 flank.
It's going to be a little bit messy. I imagine glue walls might start to get committed here. Teams don't want to take too long, and of course, all the time, every time you're fighting with 11 squads still up on the lobby, you're thinking about getting third-partied. You don't want to spend too much time in one place fighting one squad, because if another squad hears it, they might roll up. And here we see it. La Bahia is starting to get aggressive, finding one down onto Joanne. They are able to pick them up, and this has just been such an extended fight. I'm just waiting for it to break out, Adventure.
Oh, nice grenade. Hack had a nice grenade. Caught exploit there without any protection. Of course, his teammate Domi had the time turner, but it wasn't enough to save his buddy. And so I think you're going to see they're moving out. They're moving back, trying to position this for a better engagement position. It's just hard when you're around buildings. Because you don't know where your teammates are, right? And so ultimately, being around buildings, you can get flanked very easily, especially in some of these interior places like Brasilia. If you get stuck in there in the buildings, you're going to get flanked if you're not paying attention, if you're not having great communication with your teammates. And sometimes it's better just to reposition back to a building together or re-engage the fight from a different direction and try to flank the other opponents as a team, so you don't get caught out of position, because you lose a player or two early on here, you're just not going to get the points that you want.
And we see the skill and the patience of these squads, right? Because 9D was able to pick up a member, but they didn't overcommit to the fight. They kept their angles, they kept their positions, they kept their height, which you've already said is a little bit more limited on this map, which is really important that they do. Z4N now looking down on another squad here right outside of these buildings, and Z4N was just so dangerous in that game that we got to watch a little bit earlier. And it's actually Lost that's walking up to maybe find this fight. Lost Soul walking up with the glue walls, and they're about to get real aggressive here. I believe that's a Wukong, which we haven't gotten to see quite yet.
We see Judah trying to get a flank. Damage. Judah had a quadra kill earlier in the last round we saw these guys play, but Judah goes down. And hopefully we can see what's going to happen here. Oh no, they were baiting him with his teammates. And can he get the finish here? And Lost goes down, which means that Shadow's going to get up to Judah and Joshi. And I tell you what, Belka, I would have thought that Judah and Joshi going down would have meant they were going to be eliminated. But somehow Z4N pulled that out, got the squad elimination, 4 kills, 4 points, and it only costed 1 player.
Those health bars were non-existent there, and that just completely fell apart for Lost Souls. So unfortunately, they end up just feeding 4 kills over to Z4N, who do lose a member, but we've already seen how deadly they are. They did lose Joker though, Dadventure, and if you remember from 2 games ago, Joker was just absolutely wrecking the entirety of the map. So now seeing them on Purgatory, losing that member is going to hurt, but they'll continue. They will keep on moving on, as we say. And R15 here also with Trio. I think a lot of these squads are choosing to play this a little bit slower. Obviously, Lost Souls not having any of that, but still 10 squads up, as we start closing on this circle number 1.
Yeah, I mean, 10 squads left here, and so I'm guessing the points are probably pretty close. If we're going to see some slow gameplay out of squads that we know can one player can wipe the other opponent's squad, we're probably looking at gameplay, which is positioning for points. I'm guessing there's some teams at the top that are trying to just keep their spot, move into the next day. That's the smart thing to do. instead of, pushing too hard, getting yourselves eliminated. And that's what happens. You can play 4 great games and then drop a zero, a goose egg, and next thing you know, you find yourself in 4th, 5th, 6th place with one match left, and at the risk of being eliminated from the competition when $50,000 on the line for your team. It's just not the way you want to play. So I think you're seeing some of these teams, especially in a map like this with so much open space in between the buildings, that you're going to see a little bit slower gameplay. And then I feel once we get to that final circle, it's going to go quick, it's going to go fast, and it's going to go hard.
And it's such a delicate balance, right? Because if you're behind at this point, right, this is our game number 5. And if you're behind, you know that you don't just need to get the placement points, you also need to find more kills. And it gets harder and harder, especially with teams that play well with momentum. We know that a lot of players in Battle Royales just feel really good after one good game and just make sure that they keep it up, and that energy just continues and makes them play even better. So if you're already behind, it's so hard because you want to play positionally, but those kills got to come, man. You got to find those points. So yeah, here we see Tigueras, who are starting to move into this next zone, and the other team that might be looking down on them, and this could get a little dangerous for both squads. I think Tigueras knows that they're there, but the other squad might not be as heads up, and now we're going to start to see the fight. We're going to start to see the damage. Kev almost going down. Quick retreat there with a glue wall, and they're just going to push here. Tigueras not waiting a second and maybe getting punished for the hubris as Pirata already going down. 3 members left for Tigueras. They aren't able to pick them up quite yet, and it looks like they won't have a chance to. Enma with very low health, but still putting down tons of damage, and Chackle and Minor actually getting knocks on the other squad. So Pirata and Chakal, the only ones down now. They're going to try and recover here, but this is such a tight battle, and they're not going to be able to
squad elimination. Wow. Way to go.
Crazy.
And I don't know about you, but we hadn't seen a couple of these teams in the previous time we saw them. We did not have a full fielded lobby. It looks like we did here. So some of these teams, if you miss a match, if you're going to blank out with a 0, you've got to push. You've got to get those eliminations. You got to make up for points you didn't get. And I think we're seeing some of these teams are doing that push, especially the ones we hadn't seen in the previous lobby with these teams. And so I think we're seeing some of that push moving forward, and it's working out for some teams, not so much for the others. But I'm thinking if my team didn't end up being in one of the matches, I've really got to try to get 15 points, 20 points a match moving forward, because if not, I can't just get 9s and 10s. I've got to get enough points to move your team forward to the next day of the competition.
And here we see kind of the opposite, right? We know Chernobyl was on top when we last saw them. They only have 1 kill here, and they really aren't. It doesn't seem like they're hunting for kills because they really don't need to. They are probably more worried about making sure they keep consistent games, again, avoiding those goose eggs, as you said before, because they're in a comfortable spot, and you don't need to be the best team right now. Though they're looking like one of the best teams, you don't need to win it all right now. There are so many rounds of qualifiers left to go. This is just 192. You need to make sure you're in the top 6, and I bet you they're comfortably in the top 6. They're chilling in this danger zone, but honestly not so dangerous. If anything, they are probably the most dangerous thing on this map.
What do you think, Melcred, about this strategy? Okay, so let's talk about this. If you are a team like Chernobyl, where you've had some big games, do you finish strong? Do you finish on top? Or do you think that just puts a target on you for the remainder of the competition? Or do you back off a little bit on the other games, do decently well, if you're far enough in ahead that you know you're going to move forward, so that you're not the target? I think there's a strategy of like, you want to be the best and you want everybody to fear you, versus you want everybody to maybe not know your name yet until you get farther in the competition, so that you're guaranteed to get later into the competition.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up, because earlier you said, hey, there's this team, we don't really know what they're doing. Like, we don't know a lot about them. They just dropped a 20 bomb game. Like, who are they, right? They just showed up right when they need to. So I think if you're a team like Chernobyl, which is shaping up to possibly be one of the best teams in North America, I think they need to show dominance early to possibly defend their drop spots. And this is something that changes across Battle Royale. So I'd love to know if, after a couple of games, these teams start to realize, okay, Chernobyl, that is their drop spot. That is where they're dropping. We're not going to mess with them because they're really scary. Or, hey, we're going to drop on them. It's super late. We need to get some points. Maybe we take out the best team. I think, at least for the qualifiers, it is a bit important to establish yourself as a strong team so that you don't lose unnecessary fights to squads that just decide they're going to drop near you to try and grief your points. So being far enough ahead, I think Chernobyl popped off early enough. Might as well keep popping off because they're shaping up to be one of the best teams we've gotten to see today.
Well, there's a strategy to that strategy. Like that strategy is a gameplay model. If I'm Chernobyl and I'm playing this, and I know these other teams are going to go watch the competition in replay before the next round, right? You're gonna know the names of these teams. If you see some of these players on Chernobyl, and you see that you're in a battle and you down one, or they down one of yours, it may give you a decision. Maybe you should back off right now. Maybe I don't want to play this team until later on in the round, especially if you drop early and you have one of them eliminate you. You might want to say it's just not worth it, knowing the elite level of some of these players, because this is a long game competition. We've got 3 rounds of qualification just to get into the play-in for the finals. So it's 5 different rounds of competition before you're winning any money. And so you got to have a strategy that gets you moving forward each and every time that you're entering the competition.
And you have to wonder if these teams came in with a rigid game plan and decided to change it, because we know that a lot of the teams have different play styles, but when you have squads like Chernobyl in your lobby, like being on the same map as them can be so terrifying. So maybe they have to adjust a little bit because their play style might not work. Here we see Insanos, which we saw earlier winning a pretty big fight, now down to just 2 members, and it looks like they might pick up a random straggler here that's a bit separated from their team, but the rest of the team is there. They're going to pick up Alpha. There is the full kill, and the other members of the team, Piccolo and Pop Smoke, are just caught out in
that
the
push
open.
there. Mellowcrit, that push there was not a wise push. He was way too extended from his teammates. Like, why are you engaging? For sure he saw there were 2 guys there. So he was pushing 2 guys, maybe thinking he had his teammates closer from behind, but way too far out in front for sure.
Yeah, sometimes in these games you see red and you think you can kill the whole lobby. So maybe just a bit of overconfidence there. And that's honestly really dangerous at this stage of the game, because you need to be performing to your absolute best. So Insanos now caught out of zone with a duo as opposed to a trio, probably kicking themselves a little bit, but they will continue. And now far outside of zone, they're still going to have to deal with maybe crossing this bridge or opting for the zip line to the east. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how far they get on after losing a member. R15 here, a trio, maybe looking towards this loot drop.
This is a really hard zone right here, because you don't want to be caught swimming across the water late in the game. The water is just, it's hard to defend yourself. You're exposed. You're not going to be able to pop glue, and you've got to be smart here. So you see this team, R15, is going to sit in the tower, which is a great strategy, especially with a tower inside the zone. You'll see that on a lot of the boards. That you'll see it in Kalahari, you'll see it in Purgatory here, you'll see it in Bermuda. That they'll wait. They're going to wait for this zone to close. But unfortunately, you've got to be careful about giving up that high ground. So somebody like Team 7 and being exposed here. You saw that 2 of the players already moved into the house, but crossing that river, especially when you see that there's a team on the other side of the river, it is a death trap if you get caught on the wrong side of it at the wrong time.
And here we see a different death trap on its own. Gods was looking really good. They're getting a knock onto one member of La Bahia, but then immediately just getting absolutely demolished. One member of their team was trying to get cover from that tree, and it just wasn't enough for 2. They are able to pick this member up, and now Gods in a bit of an unfortunate situation. They're still going to make this push, though. They seem really confident, Dead Venture. I don't know if this is going to work out for them. There's 2 members of La Bahia up top, and it looks like 444, Bob 44 is just going to walk up and try and fight this out. The shots are starting to go down.
Oh, did you see right there? He had some lag there, and he got stuck as he was trying to approach him. That's a terrible thing to happen there. And unfortunately, it's going to cost him the remainder of his round, I think. So
I don't know if I agree with that push to Adventure, because that was, if you know there's 2 members there and you know that they just picked up one of their members after you knock them down, that is pretty bold to try and just go there and 1v2 that entire chunk of the squad. So yeah, a little bit of a punish coming out there, and now just with 2 members left is Gods, who are trying to chill.
I don't think they know he's under there. So I think they think he's been eliminated. So no one's really looking for him. But we'll look over here. We've got Team 2 and Team 12 engaged on the other side. And this is dangerous because you can get hit from across the river up here, and you can be seen, I believe, at the top of that hill. So if you get out of position and exposed, you could take a stray shot from across the river, and that could change the fortunes of your team.
And that seemed to be what happened to Z4N there. Z4N was an absolute menace when we got to see them, but now they're actually getting knocked out in 7th place, which is not
Team
what you
7
love to
is
see.
trying to get away on that zip line, but unfortunately, that's going to be a team elimination for Team Gods as they take 6th place.
Yep, they managed to find the one rat underneath their boathouse, and now we see Team SG making their rotation and probably going to look down on this La Bahia team, but they have another squad on the right, and I think it might actually be Chernobyl. I'm not exactly sure. And Club C9, actually D9, no, CD. Oh my goodness, 90.
SG takes fifth place there with that shot.
Yep, and that is just looking awful here. La Bahia is staying alive though, and they have a lot of space to work with because right now Chernobyl is trying to fight it out with 9D who are still alive. Chernobyl with all of their members, and they managed to pick one of them up. So, I mean,
Chernobyl's got a hard move here to get up on top of this bridge. And here's the thing. You can get caught in this bridge, and unfortunately, if the circle moves, you're done. You're not going to get down without taking significant damage. You're not going to be able to get down the hill. And so teams have to choose to go below the bridge or stay on top of the bridge. I think here I would keep position if I was this team right here, 9D up on top of the hill. I would go ahead and take out Chernobyl and just try to hold that height advantage as long as they can.
They couldn't quite do it though because they got shot down from the other side. So Chernobyl lives another day and possibly another fight. A lot of glue walls getting knocked down, but 90 committing a lot of their own. Salvador now getting full killed by R15 across the bridge. And as you said, La Bahia and R15 are looking right across the way. Chernobyl's still alive though with one member left. They're going to try to make their way into zone after sticking this revival. And it's not going to be quite enough. The zone is going to claim those lives.
The circle is going to stay bridge. So this may be a wise move by 9D to be up here on the top of the bridge. Oh, they've got guys jumping down. Corby goes down, obviously to do some damage. I don't know, if I would do that, but you got to get these eliminations. And so this will be interesting to see. This is a hard position. There's not really a good angle from that height. And once they get below, other than jumping off the bridge, there's not really any other option. And jumping off the bridge is for sure essentially giving the booyah to the other team.
And Bested getting absolutely cornered there, putting down every glue wall that they could find. So now we've got two teams. We got them separated. It's gonna be
what you'll see here is you're gonna see teams try to get very center circle and just try to use med kits as fast as they can, and whoever can pull it off. Right? Oh, it looks like the circle just moved off the bridge, which means that Team 9 is going to be sitting good here. If we can see what's going to happen, we got one guy up top. He's not going to be able to heal fast enough. Oh, he was able to pull it up.
He does.
Booyah! We got a med kit booyah. Nicely done, 9D. That was a risky maneuver, and he pulled it off. He definitely pulled it off. Well done.
And it kind of looked, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of looked like they decided, okay, well, we're going to leave one member up top. We're going to leave one member just heal up. And they actually dropped down to try and find the last bit of damage to make sure they claim those kills. So great job there by 9D. They were playing really well throughout that entire game, picking up a lot of kills, picking up a lot of great positions to fight, and taking out Chernobyl, which is honestly a huge, huge accomplishment because Chernobyl was a very, very scary team. You don't want to see them anywhere near you on this map. So that was great for them. I'm super stoked for them.
They definitely picked up points right there. And so this is one of the things to highlight what makes Free Fire unique. Every character in the game has character skills. Each player gets to choose how to do their character skill. The player that they left on top of the bridge for 9D had the ability to use med kits fast. That was one of the player character skills. So they jumped down to do damage to weaken their opponents while the person up top was just wrapping that med kit as fast as possible. But they were able to do enough healing to offset the storm damage, which slowed down the overall rate of hit point loss enough so that the damage done by the teammates on the enemies below was able to give them that victory. That's a smart use of team communication to allow the one person who has the right skill for that exact gameplay mechanic to get them the booyah, which also gets them 3 extra points and maybe 5 if they get those final 2 eliminations. So well done by 9D. That was really smart Free Fire gameplay. I have to think that they know how to play this game at a high level to be able to leave the right person up top. Because I'll be honest, I probably just would have jumped. and
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
absolutely
have
the
that
same.
skill ever. So
And that's like a really, really touchy spot, right? It's so close. You can really easily throw your game there when you could have an easy booyah. So let's take a look at the leaderboard now, because that call might have been really big for where they're going to sit on the total standings. And there it is. They actually didn't get as many points as R15, but they do manage the booyah with 6 kills, which is huge. R15 in second place in terms of finish, but 19 points for them. So actually at the top of the score, and La Bahia, Chernobyl, and SG in the top 5. Chernobyl, I'm a little bit surprised to see them here, but like you said earlier, maybe some teams now are starting to figure out how Chernobyl
I
plays
think
or
they
how
were.
they like to play.
I guarantee. I bet if we look at this next one of the overall for this, I think we're going to find out that Chernobyl doesn't have to get. Yeah, they don't have to get any points. They can slowly go through this. They're at 62 with 1 game to play. Even if they get a goose egg, they're still 17 points ahead of Team 6. And when it comes to Team 7, they're 35 points. They're not going anywhere. Pretty much R15, Chernobyl, Z4N, those teams are moving forward. Lost Soul really needs the game of its life, and they need SG team to blank and get a goose egg here with no eliminations to have any chance to move forward in the competition. I don't know that any teams, definitely 9 through 12, are going to have a hard time moving forward, and maybe by some miracle, Tiguera could move into that. But we can see that in this one, R15, Chernobyl, Z4N, Club 9D, La Bahia, those are some elite teams, and they've shown that in this first 5 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And R15 showing a really, really consistent performance. So congrats to them for being on top. And I wouldn't be surprised if they managed to finish the day on top. So there is one lobby that's about solved. Again, we don't quite know what's going to happen, and a lot can happen. So we could see maybe 1 or 2 positions shift around. But yeah, that might actually be your top 6 that you're going to see move on to the next round. So we get to watch lobby 6 next, but I'm curious to know if we can maybe see the leaderboard for Lobby 6. I don't know if that's feasible, but it's really
great.
interesting to watch what's going to happen, because if you're right on the cusp, right, and this is where the strategy comes into play that we talked about earlier. If you're right on the cusp, if you're really close to that next team, how do you adapt your strategy to make sure that you're in the top 6?
I mean, everybody loves an underdog, Melikert, right? Like I want to see one of these teams that is just on the border of making it to the next day, and they've got to have the game of their life, a team or two. I want to pull for them. I want to see them come out of the gate, get some eliminations, get late in the round, and by some miracle, knock a team off and move into the next day. That's the kind of stuff I love. That's what I love about competition. And so hopefully in this next lobby, we'll see some teams that need to have that 20-point game to move forward. And that'd be great and exciting, because that's what Free Fire is. Any single game could potentially change your fortunes, especially moving forward in a Pro Series competition like this with $50,000 on the line. And so I'm excited to see if we can find an underdog team in this lobby.
Yeah, there are a lot of marbles to be played for sure. And we're actually going to roll straight into our last game of the day, our second game on Purgatory, and the last day of day 1 of the Free Fire North American Pro Series. It has been an absolute blast, and we get one more treat to end it off. Here we see Lobby 6, and these underdog stories are honestly fantastic, but we're going to get a bit of a clean slate here. We don't know how this lobby has been performing. So already we're seeing that some teams are opting to drop together. This could be part of the strategy, or maybe they just don't want to give up that drop. Teams 7 and 9 dropping on Crossroads together, and teams 5 and 3 dropping pretty close to each other as well. So we might see a bit of an early combat from some of these teams.
No, I think you're going to see early combat here. If I'm down in the points, I know I have to land with a team. I'm going to watch teams jump out of the plane. I'm going to jump after a team, and I'm going to try to fall to the ground, try to get my gear, and try to take them out, knowing I've got to get some points early to have any chance to move forward in the competition. I think you just saw we have 4 pairs landing together. We've got 8 squads trying to get points. I'm guessing we have some close combat. I think we probably have 4 teams who are probably close to points or want to move up in the competition, and so they're landing with some enemies, trying to get those eliminations. That would be my guess. If I'm in the lead, I'm just probably landing out all by myself if I can, and just trying to slow play this into round 2. And I think we saw at least one team trying to land by himself, but these other teams like HW here and Domi are definitely they're going at it quick. They're looking to get some quick points.
Yep, we see Holy Warrior there engaged in one of these early fights, and Dami, the other team that is looking to get aggressive. And yeah, maybe both these teams are in the same boat, or maybe they're trying to just grieve some of these better squads. Look at the movement there. Dami actually walking all the way up while getting looked at by that team. So no one quite dead all the way quite yet, but it's looking close, and I think these teams are just going to go for this push. They've had enough waiting. They've had enough damage from the cross, and it's actually Dami that's moving forward with the fight. They are able to knock one down, and they might be able to get another one down as well. Here we see the full fight breaking out, and Dami with one member down. But
Angel jumped through that door. Yeah, Angel jumped through that door without checking to see if there were enemies outside and jumped right between two of them. That's just not a play you want to make.
And this is just quickly falling apart there. TM Dominican, the team that is completely wiping right now. And Holy Warrior is the last member not able to pull it out. That's going to be a full squad wipe there for Dami. And what a great way to start if you need points. But if you don't need points and you're the squad that just died, oh man, that really hurts. So a lot of early fighting. We've actually seen, I think, more early fights as we progress through the day at Adventure.
Yeah, it's when teams get desperate, right? Like, you got to score points. About halfway through, you're like, oh no, we got to pick up the pace. And I would say every competition that I've broadcast or played in, that's what generally happens. You get a little bit more aggressive by large at the end of the competition because people need points. And if you can start out well and early with a couple booyahs or a couple big games, then you can slow play it. But that doesn't work usually for most of the teams. I think this first round's pretty generous where half the teams are moving forward. And so that's a good place to be in the top half. But for those teams who are just outside on the fringe, they've got to get every kill and they've got to make every engagement matter. And they've got to do it quick so they can get as many points as possible.
And the point of the format, right, is we want to see the best of the best. So if you're right on the cusp, you have to prove that you're going to be in that top cut. You have to prove that you deserve to move on to the next round. Let's stay in here, picking up a quick kill on their way to possibly making that qualifier happen. But yeah, the top 6, that's really where it matters. So if you're a team that's super close, you just have to get aggressive. You have to maybe find more of these fights because sometimes placement is not enough, especially if you're a bit behind. So staying here, maybe looking for this last kill point to ensure that they make their way into the next round, or maybe picking up a couple of points off the back end. But still 9 squads at Adventure, and even though teams are looking for these kills and maybe dropping a little bit more contested than they would normally be doing, we're still seeing some pretty good rotational play from all of these squads.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see that here as Team 9 with one player moves forward. The rotation is nice, especially if you can get a team out and rotate freely between the locations without having to worry about another team. But early on, we're at 32 players. But we had a full lobby here. We haven't had a full lobby get down to 32 players that quick yet. We've had some lobbies with 9 teams be there, but you can tell that early on, this lobby is going to be a hard push lobby because people need points. I really think that we're going to see that people need points. I expect that they're going to take about 3-4 minutes, move into position for the second level of engagement, whereas these teams just have to find each other in rotation. And as they rotate different directions, we're going to have some teams just run into each other, and that's going to make for some interesting and probably very disadvantageous combat.
Here we see Team Butcher, who I believe is Team Butcher, making their way into the ring. And I believe that they're making their way kind of deep because if you're a team that has already kind of collected a lot of points and you just need to hold, and again, it really depends on where you're sitting in the leaderboard. It can be so close at times that sometimes you want to play a little bit safer and make sure that these squads that are hungry for these points aren't just going to catch you out as you're walking and making your rotation. So teams like IX and teams like Team Butcher, they might be looking to just find a nice spot in the ring. But it's hard to tell, right? Because we know that there's squads that are hunting. So yeah, a bit of a slow situation here that might just get crazy right now because these teams are about to run into each other and the danger zone is to their right, which could make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and like if you're kind of at the point where you can't win, I think one of my favorite things to do is just go be that team that just tries to ruin everybody else's night. Like honestly, if like it's all desperation, I don't have enough points, there's no possible way we can win. Let's just go out on top, right? Let's go out, get a booyah anyways, Let's go get as many kills as we can. And at least especially when it's being broadcast, you got a chance to have somebody say your name on the stream. And so I don't know how many of those teams we got in here. I know we didn't have a full lobby in some of the lobbies, so maybe there's some of these teams just playing for pride points at this point. But for whatever reason they're pushing it, it makes it more enjoyable for us because we get to watch really quick action moving forward.
Yeah, IX there looked like they kind of had a death wish. Just walked straight into that building looking like they were going to take out this team, but no such luck. And it's actually going to be Team Butcher that just defends it outright. UMP here, I'm not actually sure. Oh, not UMP, I am. It's a little hard to tell sometimes, but Team 10 here is actually DRF. I believe that's
Darkfire.
Yeah, they're starting to move in here, and I think they heard that gunfire and might actually be looking to get some kill points of their own.
Oh, he had a shot. He had a shot.
That could have been really bad. And it's actually still bad. They do manage to take the shots and not quite finding the down. But now this team is going to just walk in. Why not? Darkfire going to walk in and maybe try and find some kill points. And it's very possible that Team Butcher might be down on resources a bit. So they're just going to sit here and try their best to defend.
Yeah, and really, we talked about the different gameplay styles. I haven't seen any real sniper action in this lobby so far. Maybe they haven't found the snipers yet. Maybe they haven't, went and tried to purchase the snipers. But we haven't seen a lot of sniper action in this lobby. And so we're just seeing a lot of UMP gameplay, which is when I watch international competition, UMP gameplay is the standard of the gameplay for a lot of players because that green UMP there you see by I'm Torch, that's one of the most powerful guns in the game. And really, for me, has been the meta for a while.
And Team Butcher absolutely wiping the floor there. That was absolutely ridiculous. They did manage to push Team Butcher out of that building, but they just completely lost that fight with the UMP. As you were just saying, they completely annihilate that team, and Team Butcher's just racking up these points, playing on the defensive. It looks like teams are just walking into whatever squad they can find at this point, but Team Butcher massively profiting from that aggression, and now they're chilling with, I think, a full 8 kill points to their name. They did lose 2 members, but they're going to move into this ring with quite a few kill points. So, I mean, I wouldn't be complaining if I were them. And now we're starting to see this first ring finally getting closed up, soon moving on to the second. Dad Venture, we've got 7 squads left, but only 22 players, excuse me. How do you think this is going to play out? I have a feeling that this might end way earlier than Final Ring, as a lot of these teams are in shambles with 2, 3
I have a feeling
members.
Here as you see this engagement, what happens is we've got this guy right here, Damen, with 11 glue walls. This is probably one of your best kitted teams at this point. They've got that 4 early kills. They've looks like they've been going around the map. We got was an Elixir here with 6. We got Kurum with 8. They've got some significant glue walls. They're positioning themselves for late round battle, and that's a smart thing to do. We also see Stain, Team 5, over on the edge of the map, not really moving, and they've got all their competitors right now in the competition. So we see Stain just kind of hanging out. Looks like they're the kill leaders in the match, and they don't really have to move. They can play it slow, probably are sitting well in the top 6 on the board, and so they're not being aggressive at all. That's a strategy, right? You don't have to go and push if you don't want to. And some teams like to wait for the later rounds. But I think we're going to see here as this moves forward, with only about an average of 3 players per team, we're going to see in about maybe 2 to 3 minutes, we're going to see probably another 2 to 3 teams go out of the competition as they get too close with just so many few competitors for some of these teams.
And there's actually quite a few teams that still have 4 members strong. We see Bloodstain here that I believe is on the far north. DA as well with a full stack of teammates. So and Team Noob, which is looking not so noobish as they make their way into the rotation with all of their members left alive. Again, it's hard to know. It's hard to know without having seen the leaderboard where these teams are standing. But this could actually still be really, really interesting in terms of positioning. And yep, there we see Team DA full stack in the building and Bloodstain walking down on this 3 stack. And this could be disastrous. Actually, another 4 stack. Wow, there's actually a lot, Dan Adventure. A lot of squads making their way into this ring with a full team. I believe that there could be a very serious opportunity here for a third party as DA is looking to walk up, find their way in the zone, and maybe pick up a couple kills along the way.
Team 6 is about to get a third party on Team 1, and that's going to be probably to Team 3's advantage here, right? If they can get a spotter to let them know that there's a third party behind, Or Team 5 is pushing up here.
Yep.
Team 5 it is.
Bloodstain actually with a great position there, and they're able to find a lot of damage. Maybe playing their cards too early, but now they're getting punished from the right. So we're going to see a lot of gunfire here as glue walls are going down and the heals are going down as well. I think Bloodstain needs to make their way out of here because there is another team on the cross, but they aren't able to commit to the movement quite soon enough, and one member goes down. King needs to get picked up here, or Stain is going to be in a much worse position than they were just a couple seconds ago.
Going to back out. We've got Team 3 here swimming along the lake edge. We've got
Love
DA. This is a flank maneuver I've not seen yet. The swimming flank maneuver. This could be, if they play it right, it could be a genius move, right? As they could catch Team 1 being overconfident that they're safe, and then catch them from behind and surprise them. I want to see how that plays out. Look at this DA Tillin here. Still, no, he didn't go to flank. He's just moving around. Why didn't he flank?
I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. Maybe they're just choosing to get position here because they know that Bloodstain is up on that height. And I don't think you want to fight and find a flank if you know another team is looking down at you. But I could be wrong. I might have to swallow my words.
M79.
DA just get traded out, one member for one member. And it looks like they're just going to back out here. They're going to leave the sacrificial lamb for them to make their rotation.
Like, you are gone, buddy. So,
and that is so
I'm surprised at what happened right there. I'm surprised that DA Tillin there left his team. Again, they probably move into sniper range, but the issue with moving into sniper range is you leave your team exposed and you lose a player, and they lost a player there. I hope they don't need that player later in the game, but that is the strategy. Sometimes when your player go down, you gotta reposition yourself.
And I think a lot of members that are still left alive on this map actually rotated to the same side. So I think of the 6 squads left, we have 4 of them just sitting right here on the same edge. I believe there was 4 because we saw Bloodstain a little bit ago. Yep, there is them. And Elix and Kuram on the other side as well. So this could be another fight here. Bloodstain with all members, and King is caught out once again.
Wow.
King, you cannot be doing that, walking out without their team, and gets full killed by Kurama. Dami just find that quadra kill. I wonder what they were doing earlier to find that damage. The time turner goes down and the time turner to match, but now the push from behind, and they're going to walk up and try and find these kills. Dami is hungry for these kill points, and Bloodstain is quickly falling apart. Down. What a kill there for Dami, and they're going to find these kills. One member left, I believe, for Bloodstain, and they are going to go down here. The team wipe is inevitable. They hold out as long as they can. They're getting shot in the back, though, and Dami does get punished a bit, but they lose no members and pick up 4 kill points for their troubles. 4 kills.
Bloodstain is eliminated from this round. So that's 9 kills on the match. 4 teams left. I don't know what kind of points that they need, but Team Dami is definitely going to be picking up some points in this final 6 game on the day.
Yeah, that was a crazy push there. And the glue walls, again, the last line of defense when there's absolutely no cover. We see TN here, Team Noob, I believe, trying to recover here a bit. They did lose a member, but now the grenades are going out. And that is kind of a scary spot if you know that other teams have grenades, but the glue walls are going to stave them off a little bit longer. Team Noob continues to drop the artillery on this team's head.
They got that time turner just in time. Or that would have been probably a double elimination with that grenade. It was a beautifully thrown grenade right over the wall of that tower. But we have 4 different teams. All 4 teams are engaged right here. I don't think this is going to go much longer in the competition. We're not going to see. There's no other teams to be playing right now. We got this team. Team 1 is in a free for all up here on a 3v3. And ultimately, as we see Team Domin, we got 2 down. We've got Team 8 pushing. We've got Team 1 utilizing a sniper. That's a 1-on-3 with a sniper, not necessarily the best position to be in at this point in the game. And it looks like we get that elimination. On the other side of the board, you got Team 6 and Team 2. And Team 8 is going to move in with Team 6 now is in that tower. They've taken a ton of damage. I just don't think they're going to be able to survive. We got Newbie crawling down the mountain, trying to get away. And he does. Thankfully,
Team Noob had a really good position there, but they do have to leave it, unfortunately. And now one member caught out. It's actually Payne, who's feeling a lot of pain right now. They might go down to the zone, and I think they are. And there is no way they're picking them up as Kurama and the rest of Domini make their way to this height. And I think they're in the most dominant position here. So Team Noob with 2 members left against the 3 stack of Domini, they're just going to have to walk up here and take this fight. This is going to be pretty soon here, the end of the last game of the Free Fire Pro Series Day 1. Team Noob trying to stave off Domini, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. The glue walls are coming up. The damage is going down. Elix finding a knock
1v4. We got a 1v4.
That'd be
Noobie's
quite the
all
way
by
to
himself.
end it. I don't know if they're going to find it, though. And Domini here walking up, starting to find that damage. The shotgun damage is there.
Booyah! That's the final booyah of the day. Way to go, Team Dummy. Wow. Oh, that's the Team Dominican is what it is. That's the Dominican squad. We talked about how there's a lot of Dominican players in the game. We weren't sure where all of these players were from, but we see. We have the Dominican squad representing República Dominicana. Way to go. I know my friends from there love when I say que lo que, wah, wah, wah. I thank you, X Harnell, for teaching me that. So way to go. We've had some Jamaican teams. We've had some, I think, American teams. We've had some other Caribbean teams. And now for sure, it looks like we have a Dominican team taking the cake, which means, Mellow Crit, this is the Pro Series of Free Fire North America. We have teams from all over North America representing at high levels, showing us they can not only take lobbies, but also can take the leaderboard as they move forward into the next day.
Every single player showed up to play today, and that is what we wanted to see, and that is what I love to see, and that's what makes this so exciting. Finally, North America is getting the Free Fire Pro Series, and we saw I think some of the best that we're going to get to see. And that's just half the lobbies, right? We still have another entire day of qualifiers. So day 1 was absolutely wild. We saw a lot of different countries, a lot of different regions represented within North America. So that's super exciting. Congratulations to Team Dominican. That was a great performance, putting up a lot of aggression. I really want to know where they're sitting in the leaderboard, though, and we'll get that in a second. But yeah, that looked really clean, and they actually had a lot of really good gunfights. They looked really proficient in their positioning and in their gunplay, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them near the top. But this will be the last game that teams had to really cement themselves in the top 6 and move on to the next round. Again, 192 teams get 1 weekend and 1 game day to prove that they are the best in North America and that they deserve the chance at $50,000. That is crazy stakes, that adventure.
I think $50,000. If you're first place team, you're walking away with $12,500. Second place team, $8,500. There's money all the way down. If you get into the finals, you got a good chance of taking home money. And I know in elsewhere in the Caribbean and North America here, that money goes a long way for some of those people. So I think this could be a great life-changing thing for some of our Free Fire North America squads and individual players. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see that our whole entire server all across North America was not only represented well, but players played at high levels across it. And I think that Team Dominican probably going to have 23, 24 points. And I would love it if they were underdog team, but it doesn't look like from their gameplay that they would probably were. They probably were one of those top squads in that lobby. And our team to look for, I'm going to write it down actually, Team Dominican, a team to watch in the next round of this tourney to see how they do and how they continue to represent their part of North America as we look to the leaderboard and see some of what's happening here. But I would say, like, if I was Mellow Crit, and I think you probably agree with this, if I'm in the bottom part of that leaderboard and I don't make it to the next round, I'm not going to give up as a player, right? Like, this is the beginning. This is the inaugural day of the Free Fire Pro Series North America. Esports is here in North America. If you're playing and you just did not have the day that you wanted, or you had login issues, get ready, because esports is coming back. There are going to be more Pro Series events. There's going to be more tournaments. There's going to be opportunities for you to see your name and hear your name on stream. So keep playing, because Free Fire, I say Free Fire is life. I love Free Fire, and I love playing. I love playing with my son, who's another influencer. I love just seeing this community, because there's something special about this Free Fire community, and I'm so excited that Free Fire's brought this Pro Series to North America.
Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. Great opportunity, not just for the people, but for a lot of these budding orgs as well. And that's something that I love to see. A lot of people tossing esports on the name. You love to see it. You love to see the grind. And yeah, this is the first one. If you didn't have your day, go back to the drawing board. You need to figure out what the really good teams are doing and try to do that yourself and try and improve. This is only our first real step. Esports is here. As you said, esports has come to North America for Free Fire. So this is really just the beginning. And honestly, I appreciate everyone that got to participate, because it's all about the
Right.
community, right? It's all about the members of the community that have brought this level of competition, not just for the esports orgs, but for all the players. So let's take a look at this last leaderboard of the day. We get to see lobby number 6, round
27
192.
points, not even
Wow.
24. Wow, that's just a dominating final round. Wow. I mean, I think we saw that they earned 27 points, but it was beautiful to watch.
Oh yeah, and they took down a lot of teams that, I mean, they were doing really well. They were doing really great rotational decisions, but they just kind of walked up and did whatever they wanted to him. 27 points, 50 kills. I think that might be one of the craziest scorelines we've seen today, if not the craziest one. The next closest team was Team Noob, who managed to finish second with only 3 kills in 12, and Team Butcher, who we saw with the fantastic defensive play, just fending off teams left and right, managed to take 16 points in third. Yeah, these teams really showed up. TM Dominican, though, wow, Team Dominican really just nailed it for Lobby 6. And if you're going to go out, you're going to go out with a bang just like that.
Right, yeah. That's making a statement, right? Because on stream, people are gonna. I would think if you're playing in this competition, you're gonna watch these replays. You're gonna go and say, I want to see what was broadcast, to see what the level of competition. Now, you don't get to watch all the games, but you get to watch some talent, right? You got to see a variety of lobbies, a variety of game play, and so Team Dominican, that's the best individual score we saw in any round yet today. That they're gonna have a target on moving forward in the next round. Like, people are gonna be looking for those players on that team. You know, Dami, you better watch out, because the other teams are going to be looking for you. And that's what you want. You want that competition where these names become household names in the North American community. And when we show up the next day and the next day and these levels of qualifiers, we want to get excited about seeing how this server can not only do well against each other, but position some of the elite players into future international inter-server events and represent North America as a whole. I know that some of these players are going to be players that we're rooting for, not only for weeks or years, but for months. And I'm excited about that as we create this awesome opportunity for what Free Fire esports can be.
And here we see, wow, crazy, a 66-point performance for Team Dominican. They've been dominating, but Team Butcher really close behind them. They actually had a big game number 2, and DA with a big game number 1 actually tied for third place with Gigantes. So this is actually a really close lobby as well. They're putting up really, really high points, but look at the leaderboard. 6th and 7th place. Team Noob just 1 point ahead of Holy Warrior, Dadventure.
That's so close. And I would say, if you're Holy Warrior, you're not out of this. You're still in it. IX Official is going to have to do something. Darkfire, Bloodstain, I think some of these other teams may be out of the competition at this point. But we can see that every round has been won by a different team dropping a 20-point victory. That could change the entire fortune for Official or Darkfire if they can go get a 20-point plus round. The next thing you know, you've got 42 points, and that you have a chance to get in there, especially if one of those other teams can blank the score. But I think that Holy Warrior still has a chance to be in this, as well as potentially IX Official, but they're going to have to play. Team Dominican, surprisingly, just had that big game. They've been consistent, but not necessarily a dominating presence. I would say that Gigantes has looked to be a little bit more, and Team Butcher has looked to be a little bit more consistent, and DA more so than the Dominican team. But Dominican team drops the highest score we've seen on the day yet.
And that's what you need, right? If you're behind, if you know that there's teams that are scoring above you, put up a big game, go aggressive. And I think that's what we saw. Right. And actually, I believe we were mistaken. So apologies, but this lobby was actually a little bit behind. So that was just game 5. They get one more game to make that happen. And I mean, if you ever needed it, if they were anywhere on the cusp, and looking at the scores, I think they might have been closer to middle of the pack. So with a 27-point game, you bet they're just far and away now on top, right? Because that's the craziest scoreline we've seen. So congratulations to them. I don't know if we're going to get to see any more games today, waiting on getting to hear back. I think we'll get to see the leaderboards.
I would like to see the leaderboards of all this. I'd like to see how the other lobbies have done, as we see lobby 1 here, which I believe lobby 1 was one of the first lobbies that we saw. And so we have a 93 on the day, an 18, a 24, and an 18 by SCRS. That's impressive. Those are some high scores. They dominated from round 2 on. Like, we didn't see them do well in that first round that we got to watch, but wow, they sure turned it up after the cameras went off, didn't they?
Yeah, they've really turned it up, and we saw them, pick up a couple of points, but not do anything crazy, and they just picked it right on up. It looks like a little bit of a bell curve as we saw them pick up 17, 18, 24, 18, and then back down to 11. But that is the consistency that you need with the high level point placement. Northblood coming up in second, and Warrior Esport in third with 75. So, I mean, they were performing really well. We got to see a little bit of Northblood, and Warrior Esports also put up a big game, number 4. So this lobby looked really close, and there was the cusp. ZRJ Esports
we saw
managed
ZRJ.
to stake it out
We
with
saw
6
them do
points with
decent.
2.
Yeah,
wow.
They managed to get in there with 2 points. And the hard part here, right? If you're the 7th, 8th, and 9th team, if you're Ace X4, Ready to Shine, or Parades ES, like you just miss. You're within 5 points. Like, don't give up. Keep playing, right? Like, there's other tournaments, other opportunities to come. But wow, what an even spread all the way down to 9 places. And truthfully, if you look at it, it looks like those other teams didn't even field teams or just didn't do well moving forward. But that's a pretty good spread. That was a well-balanced lobby for the most part, except with maybe the addition of SCRS there at the top.
Yeah, if you take them out, the distribution gets a little bit closer, but what a performance, honestly, from all these teams. And yeah, exactly. Keep playing, keep grinding, because this is honestly beyond the prize money, right? And beyond the fame and the amount of attention that this is going to get. This is the great opportunity to just learn how these lobbies play if you're in a real competitive setting, because you have ranked in game, you have casuals in games, but this is a whole different beast adventure. And it really matters showing up to these events and learning what your team needs to do differently to be able to perform. So now we're going to roll into the results of Lobby 2, which I think we did also get to check out. And Lord Kill Esport, another
That's not a surprise.
Score line, 96 points. That is insane.
I mean, those top 4 teams, top 5 teams, honestly, I don't think any of that is surprising to us. When we look at the significant amount of points, even Void Gaming up there, I think that was just, there were some dominant teams in Lobby 2. They dominated. And the points distribution shows that I would think that you need to write down Lord Kill, Ozark, Laonu, and Team Money, and remember those names, Void Gaming. We're going to see them again. You're going to see them probably a few times throughout this next different qualifier rounds, and maybe even some of these teams might move forward into the finals. There's some impressive performances.
Yeah, and the top 6 here a little bit better defined. There is a slightly bigger gap, but again, just one good game away from getting into that top 6. God Sports, 031 Girls, Team 440. Like, this was still really close, and it's awesome to see that we had 11 squads that were just grinding it out throughout the whole event. So honestly, congrats to all of these teams, because these performances are super impressive. But yeah, shout out to Lord Kill, and shout out to Ozark especially, because Ozark had probably one of the craziest plays I got to watch throughout the entire day. So watch out for Danger, watch out for Ozark and those double snipers, because those are terrifying. Snipers. But man, the top end of this, we're seeing this a lot, right? Those 20-plus point games are what we're expecting from a lot of these teams now to be able to get into the top cut. And we saw them from almost every team in the top 3. So yeah, make sure you keep an eye out on these names, because they are going to come back. And I would not be at all surprised to see them in the group stage.
Let's look at Ozark there. Ozark had a 5 and a 6. That's 5 and 6 points. 2 games, they really didn't do very well. Maybe they just got in to get placing points. I think we might have seen that in a match. Or they just got a few eliminations and we're done and we're very low in the rankings. But getting a 5 and getting a 6 didn't mean they were done. They got 3rd place in that lobby because they came back from those low performing matches and still had I think it was 3 solid matches, and then one just they dropped that 23 bomb in the match. And so you're not out of it with a bad match or 2. You can finish really strong with a lot of points, but you just got to keep pushing, and you've got to let some of those bad rounds just roll right off your back and keep moving forward.
Yeah, now rolling into Lobby 3, I'm really curious to know if we're going to see a 100-point team, but doesn't look like this is going to be it, as R15 Oficial with 84 points on top, Chernobyl Esports in second, and Z4N in third. I mean, these are the teams that we kept mentioning throughout the day. We got to see, I think, 2 of their matches. So R15 Chernobyl, Z4N, Club 90, La Bahia, and SG really pulling it out. Again, another pretty clear-cut top 6. With a pretty decent gap between 6 and 7. But I mean, these teams kept it pretty close, and they still have 1 game to go. So we're not quite done yet. We've already said Lost Soul needs 1 enormous game, and they really need SG to drop the ball. But again, this distribution isn't that crazy.
Yeah, no, I think that Yeah, Lost Soul might be able to pull that off, but that's a lot of points separating. I think you're seeing that those names are names again. You're going to see them again. They're moving forward with pretty much an ease of opportunity. There are some teams there, La Bahia, SG team, not a lot of big point scores, but consistency wins the day and moves you forward. And as they move forward to the next round, I believe half the teams are going to move into the third round of qualifiers. So the goal in these first qualifier rounds is just place well, be consistent, and ultimately, it just got updated here as we see that SG team does have 58 points. So no, it looks like they were not able to change the overall fortunes there, as Lost Soul ended up with a 0 in that last round. So those 6 teams move forward. And R15 Oficial, 95 points. I think it's our highest scoring team on the day that we've seen yet. There was a 93 and a 95. So definitely teams to watch.
Yeah, that was that again. These scorelines start to get crazy when you see 40 kills on R15 across 6 games. That is absolutely wild. And yeah, again, another set of teams that you need to keep an eye out on as we progress through these qualifying rounds, because as much as we would like to have every single team that performed today moving on to compete for their share of 50,000, it's just going to be 24. So this is really just the start. We're going to get another entire day of 192 team qualifier action before we even know what teams we're actually expecting to see at the top of the pool, and a lot more opportunities for teams that maybe were in the 6th and 5th place to show up and put up performances after they get a chance to go back to the drawing board, review these VODs, and say, we can do this. We can take out some of these good teams, making those small adjustments to make sure that they make it to the grand finals of the tournament.
Well, the interesting thing, right, is these teams are showing, some of these teams are showing they're definitely at a higher level than other competition. But the fun part is when they start playing against each other, when these lobbies start getting intermixed, and we see the Lord Sports playing against the R15 Gamers, playing against the Chernobyls. Like, who's going to be the best there? Who's the elite of the elites? That's where I start getting super excited as we move in to see the lobby 4 here and see the score here on this one. We see a little bit more even distribution. We see it looks like maybe 3 of those teams were not fielded through the competition, which is going to keep the points lower. But even though the points were lower, it looks like there were some dominant teams at Blacklist, IT Official, and a Real Army. What do you think about that, Millowcrit?
Another 27 bomb from a team, this time from IT Official. We actually didn't get to see this lobby at all, but man, that game must have been insane because Real Army still picked up 13. So yeah, Real Army cleaning it up, but these score lines are so close. This might actually be the closest lobby we've seen today. I could be wrong there, but look at that, 73 and then 69, 68, and then a big drop down to 38, 38, 36. So man, that top 3 was probably running the lobby today. But again, that can all change. BL, Esports, and XXX showed up and still put up a performance that put them above the rest. So those are the teams that I'm interested in personally, Dad Venture, because those are the teams that have, they've shown that they're competent. They've shown that they're at the top of the top for teams, but there's still so much room for improvement. So once we start getting these lobbies and these top teams mix and match, that's where it's going to get real exciting.
Yeah, and you can see through 5 games there, those top 3 teams have taken all the booyahs. So you got 19, a 17, a 20, a 27, and a 21. Those 3 teams have just separated themselves in that lobby and lobby 4. Those are the teams to beat, and definitely no one's going to unseat those 3 teams from the top. But it may be any of those 3 teams could be the overall winner on the day.
Yeah, and we actually still have one more game. Some of these lobbies ran a little bit behind. So FT Official still very much in the running. XXX Esports, that's pretty funny. I get it now. And BL are, and Black, and no, not quite Blacklist. BL Esports and XXX need to watch their backs, need to watch out, because FT Official is that cusp team right now that can still make the argument for top 6. So, that game 6 is probably going to be wild. But yeah, congratulations to the top 3, because they're probably locked in and they're probably already thinking about the next round of qualifiers.
Right. I'd hate to be one of those 3 teams and drop a 0 and basically get relegated, as I like to say. You get relegated by FT Official moving forward. So yeah, that's the underdog if you're going to root for any teams in that lobby. Is I like to see that 8 points. You could have a just your first big booyah on the day, move yourself into the next round, and that kind of gives you the momentum, right? As a team, like if we are nowhere sitting at 7, we go into game 6, we drop a great score. we squeak into the next round. And then I think that means you just got to work harder, like maybe play some more games together and really position yourself to get into those later rounds of this competition for a chance at part of that $50,000. That's exciting. And I think as we look at this next lobby here,
yeah, we'll get to see what teams are on the cusp, whether there's any underdog teams. And unfortunately,
there
this
you
lobby
go.
looked a little like they struggled a little bit more. But this was the lobby with 101 points. There are the triple digits that venture. I love to see it. Invalidos E with 3 massive games, 2021 and 22, in games 2, 4, and 5, respectively. What an absolutely dominant performance. Apocalypse in second with 73, almost 35, 30, I think 33 points shy. Maybe a little bit less. I'm not good at math, clearly. And God Esport in third with 62. Wow. That is absolutely wild to me.
Yeah, that's what's amazing, right? What's amazing about this is it looks like there were 5 teams that didn't even play, and they still got 101 points.
That's
only 39 kills, and there's not you have almost half the people in the competition. That means they were just out there just shredding teams. So Invalidos E is definitely that's a write down team. You're gonna see that team again. That's just an impressive performance.
Yeah, that's wild. I can't imagine what they're gonna do when the lobbies are full. I I think if you're Invalidos E, your strategy was probably just sprinting at the enemy as hard as possible and making sure that you got the kills before anyone else got a chance to touch them. So I can't wait to see them in the next round of the qualifiers, because that's going to be the team to watch, I think, in terms of Slayer potential.
And I would say if Invalidos E is watching, like, don't count your money yet, right? Like, this is the first round of qualifiers. Yeah, you may have been impressive, but there's a lot of competition to go. There's a lot of great teams and great players out there. And so don't get your head in the clouds and think, we got this one, we did so well. Like, you've still got 2 more rounds of qualifiers. You've got a round of play-ins, and then you got a round of finals. So get together as a team. Keep working on your craft. Be some elite players. Let us keep watching you play. And as we go and see Lobby 6 here, I think we just watched Lobby 6. Don't count your money too early, or you may not be counting it at all. That's my advice to you.
And yeah, I don't think any of the teams here can really count their money, because this is a crazy close scoreline here. 66 points for TM Dominican, we saw with another 27 bomb. We looked at this a little bit earlier. Team Noob and Holy Warrior just separated by 1 point. That adventure, 1 point is what Holy Warrior needs to be on the exact same table positioning as Team Noob. So they're going to need to have a really good game number 6. And again, talking about underdog stories, that is so close. And if you're Holy Warrior, I can imagine what those players are thinking right now going into that game.
Yeah, I think we talked about these guys a little bit, but like it's like game time, right? It's like, here in the US, we put rally caps on. You turn your baseball cap inside out, put it on your head, and you get in the game. It's Holy Warrior rally time. They got caught out of position in the last game, especially when Angel jumped out of that door with 2 people and wasn't paying attention to the position, and that started a downhill slide. I think that they can do it. I mean, obviously they put up a 22. They got that booyah, so they have a chance to be in it there. They have a chance of maybe getting into 5th place if they could put up another solid round. So I think Holy Warrior may be the dark horse there, because Team Noob did not get any booyahs in the day, and Holy Warrior did. So we'll see what happens there as they finish out that last lobby later.
And we did see that IX official just outside of there, but if a 27-point game is what we expect to see from the real pop-off games, I mean, even some of those lower teams that are in the 7th and 8th place are still in contention. Right. They can still have a crazy game, and if the person that's currently in 6th drops it could be bad for him. So here we're gonna roll into lobby 7, where we can see a bit of a similar situation in terms of how close it is. Real quick, jumping to 6th and 7th place, we see 53 and 50, but 82 points for C7, who we saw with honestly really consistent performances. Nothing super crazy, a 20 and an 18-point game to really show off the top of their play, but just consistently throughout, making sure that they're getting points and making sure that they're getting kills too. 38 kills at the top of the leaderboard for that. Tijuana in 2nd and New Stars in 3rd.
Yeah, and we had seen the game 3 for these guys. I think we saw Cholos with that 12-point game. So I'm a little surprised to see them down there in 8th place. It looks like they've had some unfortunate games there, and I would have thought that they would have been one of those 6 teams. Fire Black also, we saw them do pretty well in that game 3, and so I'm a little surprised to see them down out of out of the moving forward in the qualifier. I think they've been, what I like to say, is relegated. But there's other teams that we didn't get to see that much of that really had just some consistent and strong games, like Dream Team with that big 20, and then Empire FF with that 15. And so I'm not surprised by some of the teams at the top, but I'm a little surprised about a couple of teams that maybe just missed the cut on this qualifier, but probably in future qualifiers will do very well.
Yeah, and I'm actually also surprised to see Greek Gods down there in 9th. They had a 20-point game,
Right.
number 2, but it just goes to show you can't just win one game and start counting your money, because teams can show up and take the crown from you. So you can't get comfortable. You got to watch your back throughout this entire tournament, because the teams that are in the top 6 right now, and even the teams that are just in the top 8 or top 9, they are all confident and they can all show up with crazy point games. So, I mean,
Right.
people got to keep at it. If you qualified into the next round off of this first day of games, you need to make sure that you're upping your game, not just chilling and being comfortable with what you did on day 1, but making sure that on day 2, or at least on the next day of qualifiers, that you're ready to continue to dominate every other team who also had a good day during the qualifiers.
Yeah, and for me, like, I'm excited to see the width and breadth of these teams coming from all over North America. Teams that are going to qualify moving on, teams that are representing Jamaica, Dominican Republic, America, Belize, so Trinidad, those teams. These are the teams that not only make up this server, but they are the heart of this server. And we're seeing in these lobbies, we're seeing teams that I know are coming out of those countries, just showing that we are North America. And as we look at this final lobby score, that's what I'm most excited to see, that diversity of North America represented in each of these rounds of qualifiers, and hopefully in the finals, as we see that Fox Gaming had 81 points here in this last one, which is we didn't get to see this lobby play with New Religion at 78, and you can see they didn't have all the teams fielded in this one, it looks like, but we can see that at the top 5, it was pretty close for the most part.
Yeah, and it's still impressive to see that even with half the lobby gone, you still had a 31-point game. So unfortunate for all of the teams that weren't able to make it. I would have loved to see a little bit more competition, but Fox Gaming clear a cut above a lot of the other teams, and New Religion as well, standing out. But yeah, all really close to the top 5. Hooligans, not the best performance that they could have put up, but they showed up, and sometimes that's all that matters. We've said it, Dadventure, and here especially so, because they're going to move on to the next round of qualifier, just in part off of not seeing some of the other teams. So that is a great opportunity for a team like that, right? Like, that is an underdog story if I've ever heard one, where they really just were at the bottom of the board, but they still managed to squeak into the next round. They are the ones that have to take it to the drawing board and make sure that during the next round of qualifiers, they show they belong in the top of the top for North America.
Right. Hail Hooligans. You did a great job, Hooligans, just by showing up today. Well done. Way to make the cut. And sometimes that's what it takes. Just logging in and being where you're supposed to be on time. It's part of being in international competition. If you can't show up and play, you're not going to win, and you're not going to win $50,000, because you got to show up each and every time there's a position for your team to play, and you got to be there ready to go. And so I think we're finding out that the teams that didn't show up and play, they're out of the competition. There's no chance to win $50,000. And those 6 teams down there, if they had just shown up, they might have been that 6th place team and moving on in the competition. So I think that's a lesson for us all to learn. Make sure you show up to the games and be able to be there to move on towards your chance at $50,000.
And
I
don't miss out. At this point, if you got into, like, there was a lot of demand for this tournament, because it's so exciting to finally see North America get the esports break, right? So as exciting as this is, you need to show up, and you need to make sure that you're putting in your all during this first day of qualifiers, which, speaking up, we're going to wrap up here at Dadventure. Thank you so much for joining me. It was super exciting to finally get to cast with you. Thanks to everyone who tuned in today. It was an absolute blast to bring you the first day of the Free Fire North American Pro Series. Dadventure, any last words for the people before we sign out?
Hey, thanks, Free Fire family. This was awesome. You guys are amazing. You're what makes Free Fire North America so wonderful to be part of. It's the community, it's the players, it's the spirit of all the different countries and territories that make up North America. I love to say Free Fire is life, and you guys make it life. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being here with us. We'll hope to see you again on other broadcasts here of the Free Fire Pro Series North America, and keep working on your gameplay and get ready, because esports is here.
say you do.
I'm headed to the bottom of the bottle. I've been drowning, I've been floating away. Every other dollar that I got in bed, I probably went and pissed it away. I ain't fucking okay, I ain't liking it, babe. I don't even wanna talk, I'm just smoking my haze. I've been stuck in my ways, I've been stuck in for days. I've been staring at the clock as the radio plays. I'm enslaved. Yeah. Rolling another, I'm stuck in my seat from the whole control of my speech. Yeah, I've been trying to get off this couch for a minute and a whole damn week. No kidding, I'm skinny, I cannot eat. Got a million motherfuckers that depend on me. Yeah, every friend in my family. From a girl, every fan I meet myself. I'm too on till I'm too off. Come down to make new thoughts, like jumping off of that rooftop. Whole life never when I do nothing to make moves based on my mood drops. Like who's lost? Like who's lost? It's y'all's stuff. Steadily killing me, running my brain full of shame. I don't wanna lose it. Full of stage, trying to find my pain. See the sun coming out of that rain. My day really not game. I'ma never slow down. I'ma never behave. Stuck inside this prison, inside this cage. It's taking over. Yeah, I'm a slave.